news from now until Selection Sunday. Also exciting news. So here's the deal. We were just talking about this today. The amount of friends that I've got to become a subscriber at VSiN.com/subscribe and then thank me later is endless and countless. But right now, you can get all of this for free. All right? You can get the picks, the splits, the power ratings, the stories, the tournament guide, which is going to be dropping, the baseball guide that's out right now. Head over to VSiN, and you get it all for free until Selection Sunday, which is, I don't know, a couple of weeks. So a couple of weeks to decide, do you like the content, which you will, and stick around. Let's see. Dustin is sending me more news.
Read the bottom of that tweet, the bottom of the tweet I sent you.
Donkey Anna Rossini is reporting the Las Vegas Raiders have traded the Seattle Seahawks for Geno Smith. The Seattle Seahawks are now targeting Sam Darnold.
What?
What an effing mess this league is. This league, as the kids would say. This
is a true quarterback carousel. This is freaking wild. One gets on, one gets off, one's moving around, bouncing back and forth. I prefer to ride the unicorn, a pink one. I'm progressive. It's not a big deal. But I would say here for the Seattle Seahawks, is Sam Darnold?
Let me finish your thought. One's 34, one's 27. Geno Smith's better than Sam Darnold. This is Seattle's drunk. That's the future. The future for Sam Darnold is a team like the Steelers, a team that he can plug and you're not building around Sam Darnold. You're trying to win right now with Sam Darnold. I'm sorry. The upside just isn't there.
Okay.
You got me?
Seahawks, Clint Kubiak, OC. Remember what he did this year? Popped for like 3 games. That offense fell apart, right? Down in New Orleans. The idea that you're going to put your career on the line for Sam Darnold, who we all loved what he did a year ago. But the reality is that was a talented quarterback who had yet to be unlocked, playing for an offensive mastermind in Kevin O'Connell, who had done it with multiple players prior. Let me know when Rossini reports that Kevin O'Connell is going to be coaching the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah. I don't see how you go get Sam Darnold and you're tearing it down. Remember, they released Tyler Lockett. They're going to trade DK Metcalf. So it's JSN to throw it to. Kenneth Walker, who's always injured at running back. Offensive line issues that have been there for years. I don't see how this rebuild results in being a better football team when you're taking pieces away and then you're building around Sam Darnold.
Love the move for the Raiders. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. React. I'd like to know what you think. Geno Smith is polarizing, to say the least. Now, if the reports are true, you can also let me know what you think about potentially Seattle deciding to build around Sam Darnold. Now, nothing has been corroborated. Diana Rossini is reporting that the Seahawks want to go after Sam Darnold. It's going to be fascinating, too, to see what happens because Minnesota wants to keep him. Minnesota gambled by not franchising him. Minnesota believes that the market isn't going to be as robust for Darnold as some would think. I think that's an asinine decision. If you're Minnesota, you had to franchise him. Yeah. In a league that is so thirsty for a starter, you don't think somebody's going to take a chance on a 27-year-old that just had his career year? You're insane.
Well, here's the question here for Minnesota is, are they willing and able to pay him whatever Seattle's trying to pay him? Are you going to match the price point? Because if not, you're going to have nothing to show for everything you did a year ago, and maybe they think that's worth the risk, but I think they're going to get in trouble now. They're going to get in trouble with the cap. They're going to get in trouble if they lose him completely. I think Minnesota thought they were going to steal him.
They can't do what another team's going to do because they're not going to give him the years. The only thing that made sense for Minnesota was a 1-year franchise. They want J.J. McCarthy to be the starter. Seattle's going to come in and give him years.
They're going to give him 3 to 4. The question is, he's going to get 30, 40 million, 45 million? Like, what is the number now on Sam Darnold now that Seattle's opening things up and trying to build the entire franchise around him? This is a freaking wild development.
You just told me that Brock Purdy's going to get 50 million. Of course he's going to get 30 or... Of course that Sam Darnold's going to get 30 or 40 million in free agency come Monday. Yeah,
My
100%.
question is he gonna get Brock Purdy type money, 49, 50, whatever it is?
If he has a
whatever
good
that next
agent,
quarterback number is.
if he calls Maury, an agent should be able to get Sam Darnold top dollar. Teams get desperate. 888-623-3646. Let's go here on VSiN Live and start with our buddy Tony in Dallas. Tony, what's up?
You guys got to remember that Geno Smith is only 3 years younger than Mike McDonald in Seattle. And I totally think that Mike McDonald is trying to set up his own team. It just wouldn't shock me that they're going to go and they're going to try to move up in the draft. Because to your point, you're going to trade Metcalf. You already pick 18. So they're going to try to move up. But really what this also tells me is Jimmy Sexton, remember Jimmy Sexton is Sam Darnold's agent, the same as Stafford. He's got to get somebody else in the room to even pretend that somebody wants Sam Darnold. And number three, and really what this really tells me is that the stock for Shedeur Sanders is dropping. Because remember, Tom Brady is on a text relationship with Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders always refers to him as his friend. You know, they hang out when Prime, hangs out with Brady. And the fact that they made a trade for Geno Smith and they were picking 8 tells me that the Shedeur Sanders stock is dropping, and which is what some real experts have been saying, and that this quarterback class just isn't very good other than Cam Ward.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it. I have thoughts from Deion Sanders about the noise surrounding Shedeur Sanders coming up in just a bit. But right now we are focused on Geno Smith, who's a Raider. Here's one thing that we all can agree on. So we know that Tom Brady is unabashedly running the Raiders. He just made his 3 most important – Tom Brady's 3 hires were coach, general manager, and quarterback.
Yeah.
Tom Brady the GOAT, a very cerebral dude, just said a winning combination is Pete Carroll, the assistant general manager who we don't know anything about from the Bucs, and he handpicked Geno Smith because Tom Brady is very aware that Sam Darnold's going to be available. He's very aware of the quarterbacks that are available, and he handpicked Geno Smith.
Yeah, I that does speak volumes, especially when you factor in what is Tom Brady most known for, his competitiveness. If he believes in Geno Smith like this, that is a big stamp of approval on Geno Smith that, I still don't think you win a Super Bowl with him, but maybe I could be convinced otherwise. Like, where is the cutoff line in quarterbacks, and where does Geno Smith fall on who can or can't win a Super Bowl? I think Geno's right on the edge of the other side that can't. But I do believe the Raiders are going to be competitive. I do believe they're going to be a playoff team. Their odds to win the Super Bowl, looking over at DraftKings right now, I got to go way down at the bottom still. He didn't move the number that much. Where are the Raiders? Seahawks are still 65-1. Where are the Raiders here? Raiders, 80-1. 80-1 to win the Super Bowl. So
that's the 12th time you mentioned. That's the 12th time you've mentioned the how many quarterbacks can. And I'm not going to play your game because I don't give a crap about the question. But I know that you want to give your list of quarterbacks that can. So please put me out of my misery and just tell me your list.
I was planning on doing it throughout the show. I even numbered my paper 1 to 32.
Okay, fine. Then give me. Let me guess. Is Patrick Mahomes somewhere on that list?
1, 2, 3. Mahomes, Burrow, Jackson. Then we'll go Allen at 4.
Now, not to disprove that this is a good or bad experiment, but the problem with Lamar Jackson is literally that he can't perform in the postseason. So why would you think he could win a Super Bowl?
Because he's still better than Geno Smith on his worst day.
Yeah, but you understand my point. It's like that is the conundrum. You've got an MVP twice over that can't win in the playoffs. That's Lamar Jackson. So why couldn't the inverse be true of Geno Smith?
I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying where it stands right now, up until Jalen Hurts just did it a month ago, I didn't believe Jalen Hurts was capable of winning a Super Bowl, and he proved me wrong. So
exactly.
As of this moment,
so last year the conversation would have been asinine, and this year the conversation's asinine. Keep workshopping.
You want your team.
Save that for JT the Brick, will you? I mean, I can't. I'm sorry.
Okay. You don't like Jared Goff. You'd rather have Geno Smith than Jared Goff?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you right now. I'm just stuck on your little experiment. Don't try to turn the tables on me and think you're gonna catch me in a ooh. I'm a little kitty, and now I'm no. You proved to me why your experiment sucked when you said I didn't think Jalen Hurts could, and he won a Super Bowl. Okay, well, what's the point of the discussion?
Well, they built the offense around him. They built a great defense. He had to limit mistakes, and he was coached up properly. So if Geno Smith
any quarterback can win, any quarterback you don't believe can win a Super Bowl can win a Super Bowl. That's the point.
Except Patrick Mahomes is coach proof. He can do it with anyone.
We've added elements. I'm proud of you. 888 Mad Dog 6. He's mad. He's mad. But we workshopped it, and it didn't work out. 888-6. Don't worry. He's going to do it throughout the show.
I'm going to keep doing it. Don't worry.
888 people on bated breath. Well, this weekend there's going to be many conversations across the nation. Dustin Swedelson believes Patrick Mahomes can win a Super Bowl. I heard his list.
Bated breath, that's what I'm going to be going back home to over the weekend.
Why?
Baited.
888-623-3646. What a start. Geno Smith, just as we were coming on the air, you heard Steve Torrey as he was saying goodbye, has been traded to the Seahawks. So again, officially, Pete Carroll, the general manager, and now Tom Brady has handpicked the quarterback. You like the move for Seattle, who appears to be, this is like Dustin said, I mean, this is a rebuild, right? You're losing a top 12 wide receiver in Metcalf. You just cut a 10-year vet on your team that's been great in Tyler Lockett. And now your starter for the last 3 seasons, Geno Smith, is out the door. This is a rebuild.
It's a weird rebuild, too. I can't remember the last time a team didn't just start the rebuild when they hired the new coach. Instead, they played a year, and they kind of worked together, and they go, hey, you know what? It was good, but it wasn't good enough. We just missed the playoffs. Let's just tear it all down and start from scratch. I kind of give them credit for it, for acknowledging that maybe the contracts and everything didn't line up properly for what they thought their window was, and breaking it down and moving on from Geno. Also reading reports that Geno wanted an extension and Seattle wasn't willing to do that. Yet now they're going to go give all that money and years to Sam Darnold. That's a bit confusing, but sure. I guess for Seattle, it's they want to do it their way and get rid of whatever remains from the previous regime with Pete Carroll.
All right, thoughts on the trade. Smith, Geno to the Raiders, a third-rounder headed back the other way to Seattle. And also, Deion Sanders has a pretty good idea as to why Shedeur Sanders' draft stock is falling. We'll tell you what he said next and get to your calls. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN
Player for four.
Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson.
Yeah, John Schneider runs the Seahawks, and I'm still kind of conceptualizing what I think about the trade for the Seattle Seahawks, the trade that is Geno Smith being traded to the Raiders for a third rounder. And here's why. One, I really like Geno Smith. If you watch him, he's tough. He plays in every game. He got hit a lot last year. And what's fascinating about the Seahawks, this is why maybe I'll give the Seahawks credit, because they're zagging while everybody's like, what the hell are you doing? You just went 10-7, barely missing out on the postseason, and you're ripping apart the offense. They are essentially figuring out philosophy-wise, they don't believe that this offense is good enough to take them to the next level. So they're blowing it up. But the rumor is that Sam Darnold is potentially going to be in Seattle. That's the landing spot. Now, Diana Rossini is reporting that the Raiders are expected to offer Geno Smith an extension, and he wants in between $40 and $45 million. I love the move for the Raiders. I don't know why. I like Geno Smith. I really do.
That's intrigued,
why. I guess I do know why. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but I'm intrigued by the idea of having a veteran come in with this whole new look Raiders team, with Pete Carroll at the helm leading things. He has a quarterback he's familiar with. It's a quarterback he trusts. Obviously, he brought him to Seattle, made him the starter when he was originally the backup, and rode with him for a few years. So I like that comes over immediately. You have that continuity, the connection between the head coach and the quarterback. But secondly, the Raiders have not been dynamic on offense in a very long time. Even when it was Derek Carr with John Gruden, they still were a little inconsistent. The thing Geno brings is you're going to have a legitimate offense that's going to move the chains, that's going to take shots, that's not going to turn the ball over, not make mistakes, and you can kind of build a defense to support that risk-adverse, no-turnover offense that Geno brings to the table. So I think it's an interesting match because they don't have a ton of weapons, obviously, do the Raiders. The O-line is okay. They still need some pieces. They released their center about an hour ago. But I think the Raiders have a pretty smart plan for how they're going to construct this roster, at least for year one of Pete Carroll.
Here's another reason I do like it for the Raiders. I believe a guy that's put up really good numbers for the last 3 years, I think those numbers get a bump when you go indoors immediately.
Oh, that's a good call. That's a very good call.
To half the time being indoors in Las Vegas on a friendly turf, quarterbacks love that.
Also, I'm very curious. What's Brock Bowers going to do now that he has a legitimate quarterback throwing him the football next year? I mean, he had 1,200 yards as a rookie with Aiden O'Connell trying to sling that thing, Desmond Ridder stepping in. Now he's got Geno Smith. Okay, you have my attention. You have my attention with what that could potentially be. Bring me a receiver on the outside. Does Pete Carroll go back to the well and trade for DK Metcalf? Does he add another former Seahawk here?
So Darnold, if Seattle's blowing it up and Darnold is their choice, I'm not so sure. I think Darnold he's a player to me that feels like a Steeler. We've got weapons. We've got a great defense. He showed he could play. He's 27. Maybe I'm contradicting myself a little bit.
No, you're right. You're right. This would be Sam Darnold going back to all of the spots that had failed him prior. See, I think Sam Darnold failed in the NFL up until a year ago because he ended up in situations that weren't good for him. The lack of infrastructure and leadership in New York, the lack of, play calling in Carolina, no opportunities in San Francisco. But when he did get to play, he looked good because he had good coaching. Going to Seattle right now, where you eliminate two of your top three receivers, and that O-line has been really bad for going back 4 years now, I want to say. It would be the exact situation he was in the past where he failed. Now, if he just wants to get a bag and he wants to get paid, I mean, I wouldn't fault him for that, but that's what this would be. If he wants to play football and succeed in the NFL, Minnesota on a shorter-term deal makes more sense.
No, Minnesota botched it. Again, they're not going to get Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is going to leave, and he's going to get paid, and he's going to get a long-term deal. That's not what Minnesota wants to do. Minnesota botched it. They should have franchised him next.
I hate this. I hate it.
Hey, not as much as I hate hey, can this quarterback win a Super Bowl? So let's play your game, but I'm going to do it a different way. And I'm coming to the calls. You said Geno Smith is right below the line of demarcation for the Dustin Swedelson, can this quarterback win a Super Bowl? But again, you had Jalen Hurts below that line last year, and he just won a Super Bowl. So I'm going to bring up a name randomly throughout the show, and you're going to tell me if he's below or above the line. Can the quarterback win a Super Bowl? Next up is Kyler Murray. Hold on. Next up is Kyler Murray.
Yeah, and it's binary. No, he can't. That's it. It's either yes or no. Kyler Murray cannot win a Super Bowl. You have to create a system for him just to be a semi-successful quarterback. He cannot carry a team. He will never win a Super Bowl in his life as the starting quarterback.
Okay, that was fun. See, this is fun. I feel better now. Let's talk to a Raiders season ticket holder about the trade, and that's Craig in Las Vegas here on VSiN Live. Hi, Craig.
What's up, guys? Hey, here's why I like the trade. I'm a season ticket holder. My son's a Raider for life. It's the den of depression going to those games lately. I mean, the last year was so bad. I mean, I don't know if you remember the Monday night game against Atlanta with Kirk Cousins couldn't complete a pass and they still lost that game. I mean, and you saw there were some articles in the paper here like less fans went percentage-wise compared to UNLV did last year, where UNLV spiked in growth too. So I just think this is a good trade. And this Geno Smith has a good head on his shoulders. And look what's happened in this town with Raider players. It has not been good off the field. Between Ruggs, you had how many years did they get another DUI? They had the guy who drove over the curb with the Santa hat on at the Roberto Taco Shop. So, and then Pat, I gotta ask, man, the cool water didn't work at the center bar at the South Point. I need another review. So maybe
hold on.
Geno can come up with something.
Hold on. That's the funniest thing ever. Because Craig, going to the South Point wearing cool water is beyond the best combination ever. So if cool water didn't work at the South Point, I don't know what to tell you. Shout out to Vinny.
You were the fanciest guy in that casino.
You were. Shout out to Vinny Magliulo. Let's say hi to our buddy Bill in Chevy Chase here on VSiN Live. Hey, Bill.
Hey, guys. Thanks. So to answer your question, in my mind, are Geno Smith or Sam Darnold going to win you a Super Bowl? Let's take a step back. Clearly, the answer is no. No way either of them are. Smith kicked around the league forever. He was lousy, and he had this late career renaissance where he's okay. He's, a little better than league average quarterback last year, quite frankly. And he's 34 years old. Maybe you win a few more games, maybe you don't. But a Super Bowl? No way. No way, guys. And on Darnold, too. He's another one. Darnold, I think, is in danger of becoming a good joke that gets carried too far. You can kind of dress him up, you can protect him, you can set him up, and he had a good year, give him credit, but then when it really mattered at the end of the year, he just didn't underperform a little. He looked awful, he looked lost, and all the coaching in the world couldn't help him. I do not see him as a guy who can win you a Super Bowl either.
Bill, let me just say this, and I'm coming the other way from coming out of college. I thought Darnold was going to be awesome. Even after last year, I think Darnold kind of stinks. If my team, my franchise was signing Sam Darnold to a long-term be our franchise quarterback, that would not excite me.
Is he that much different than Brock Purdy? We mentioned it before. He has to be coached up a certain way. Now, I get it. Most of these guys have to have good coaching, but the skill set isn't good enough to rely on the abilities of the quarterback alone to elevate your team. That's the questions I have with Darnold along the way. A lot of it wasn't his fault, but at the same time, maybe he's just not that guy. And it took work
Are we
sure?
To get there. Are we sure that the Seattle Seahawks aren't just tanking for Arch?
Oh, that'd be interesting. I mean that, but then you don't sign Darnold. You run Sam Howell out there,
and you can't be worse than New Orleans.
It's going to be hard. You're going to really have to try.
It's going to be very difficult.
You're going to have to make an effort to do that.
You would really have to try, I believe, to be worse than New Orleans next year. You would have to try to be ass.
By the way, they still have to cut people to get under the salary cap to operate as a functional franchise.
The New Orleans Saints, that is, and then the Giants are going to be gosh awful as well. So the Seattle Seahawks are going to have some competition.
It's going to be tough. If the goal is tank for Arch, this may not be enough.
All right. Jared joins us here, VSiN Live from Portland. Hey, Jared.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Good afternoon.
Good. Good afternoon. What's up?
Hey. So if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, which I am not, but if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, you are overjoyed. Can I just tell you, I live in Portland, Oregon. I know a lot of Seahawks fans. They are ecstatic that Geno Smith is gone, completely ecstatic. They don't even care if they ran Sam Howell out there. They just want something different. Geno's not going to win you a Super Bowl. He has all those weapons, doesn't get you into the playoffs, despite the defense and the offensive line and all those other issues. But Seahawks fans are just overjoyed that he's gone, and they can move on and get somebody else. Even if
You're close to it. You're close to it. You would know better than I. And by the way, Jared, I do believe I'm in the minority loving Geno Smith and thinking that he's capable. So I'm not going to argue with any of you. Dustin did tell me that he was reading the film nerds are obsessed with Geno Smith.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because he makes.
Give us what I'm talking about.
It was Ted Wynn from The Athletic, and he essentially said, let me pull it up here. He said, look, Raiders just got every film lover's favorite quarterback, huge get, dealt with a ton of pressure last year. First order of business should be continuing to add to the O-line. Geno is way better than most people think. And I think Geno Smith is good. My question is, if we're not trying to win Super Bowls, what are we doing? That's the only pushback I'll have with that. Now, if we're getting Geno Smith so we keep our jobs and don't get fired and we're like a good football team, I understand that as well. But at some point, the goal is to win a Super Bowl, and I don't believe Geno Smith gets you there.
Tom Brady, Pete Carroll, and the general manager, Donk, got in a room, and you know what they said? We believe Geno Smith can win us a Super Bowl. So Dustin Swedelson, Patrick Maher, just sitting over here shooting from the hip with can they or can't they win a Super Bowl? Those three got in a room, and they decided he can.
John Spytek is his name. John Spytek is the GM. Look, I get it, but they also have a limited pool to choose from, and I'm living in a world of Madden where I can trade for any quarterback in the league, and they can win me a Super Bowl.
That's fair. I believe more in you. I totally agree.
I'm saying it's very different. You have to work with what is out there at that point that's available for you to build your team around.
And you know that Russell Wilson was part of the potential plan for the Raiders. Feels like an upgrade.
No.
And all they gave up was a third rounder. But you know.
If we're grading this on a curve compared to where this could have gone, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, or even Sam Darnold, this is the best possible outcome for the Las Vegas Raiders.
You know, that's the interesting one. Would you rather have for the next 2-3 years Darnold or Geno Smith? 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646. My answer is in Las Vegas. He's already there, people. Geno Smith. VSiN Live, we're back.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson. covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Never done it before. Not sure we'll ever do it again, but VSiN until Selection Sunday. So right now, until Selection Sunday, we're offering everything we do for free over at VSiN.com. You don't have to be a member. Betting splits, picks page, power ratings, MLB breakdown, of course, with the betting guide. They have the college basketball betting guide. It's all there. The goal is to push our new audiences. Again, make sure we get over there, check it out, because I think it's important for you to see before you buy it if you like it. So check it out, VSiN.com. And you can find us on YouTube streaming on the VSiN YouTube at VSiN Live. Give us a little thumbs up. It would help us out greatly. And maybe a like and a subscribe. Thank you for that. Geno Smith is a Raider. And Dustin just sent me a very interesting piece of information. So the pick that's going back to the Seahawks is number 92 in the third round. That is the pick the Raiders got for trading Devontae Adams. So as Dustin said, they hold on to their own third-round pick, so they flipped an aging wide receiver, Devontae Adams, into Geno Smith. Not sure if it makes you care or like the trade better, but I'm just telling you what it is.
I mean, it feels like basic football economics. If you can trade a wide receiver for a NFL starting quarterback, you won that trade, and that's essentially what they did here.
All right, let's get to the calls. 888-623-3646. And then the question really, because the rumor is Seattle could potentially be in the market for Sam Darnold now. Is it an upgrade? Is Darnold an upgrade?
And outside of Seattle, what even is the market for Darnold at this point?
That's exactly what Minnesota is betting on, that
yes,
he would just come back. But I don't think that's happening. I don't think there's a chance that Minnesota's the last team left standing for Darnold. That's just me. Let's go to L.A. and talk to David here on VSiN Live. Hey, David.
Hey, good afternoon, Patrick. Good afternoon, Dustin. Thanks for taking my call. So I wanted to give a little feedback on this trade here. I don't know what this means for the Seahawks. I'm not going to speculate on that. But I think the Raiders got themselves a great quarterback here, and here's why. Geno Smith understands where he is in the pecking order of quarterbacks around the league. He was asked, I think it was last year or the year before, if the Seahawks were to bring in a young quarterback, would you help mentor him? And Geno Smith said yes, he would help mentor the young quarterback. Not every quarterback is willing to do this. You know, I think Ryan Tannehill was asked about that with Will Levis, and Tannehill said, I'll support him, but I'm going to keep fighting for my job. You know, Brett Favre famously, even after he retired, said, look, it wasn't my job to mentor Aaron Rodgers. So the Raiders have themselves a great quarterback in Geno Smith, knowing that he understands he's a bridge quarterback. He understands that the Raiders are going to find the next guy, and if he's still on the roster, he'll be there to mentor the new guy. The second thought I have is this. Geno Smith and Sam Darnold have proven that these quarterbacks who did not necessarily succeed early in their careers, if they were put in the right situation, with the right coaching, with the right supporting cast, they could still thrive. They could still succeed. Is there any chance at all for the castaways in the class of 2021 to resurrect their careers? I'm talking about guys like Mac Jones and Zach Wilson, and, of course, Justin Fields, who's probably got the most potential. That's all. Thank you, guys.
Good job, David. You have an answer to his latter part? I saw you with a constipated look on your face.
Zach Wilson, no. That's just not. It's not
that ship has sailed.
Justin Fields is going to get a lot of GMs and coaches fired in his career because
honestly, Dustin, I think he's just sticking around with the Steelers.
Yeah, but he's a guy who the ability is going to tantalize you, but for whatever reason, the production just doesn't match what he did in college. It doesn't translate to the NFL. Mac Jones, maybe in a sense where he's like that in-betweener, but it'd have to be like Darnold. He'd have to go to San Francisco. He'd have to go to O'Connell in Minnesota. He'd have to go to a quarterback whisperer where like it's just plug and play, don't screw up my offense. But Mac Jones doesn't have special skills.
No, he does not. I would agree with you there. Let's say hi to Adam in Nashville here on VSiN Live. Hi, Adam.
Yeah, I got a couple thoughts, man, because the Titans, they come out, I guess one of our reporters said that they already have no interest in Darnold, which it's like the girl that's like, I just wish I could meet a good guy. Like, Sam Darnold's a good guy. Like, we've been so Is Will Levis a good guy? Will Levis is not, dude. Like, I don't want him in his Mayo commercials and doing the splits and throwing pick sixes, man. Week 1 and week 2, twice in a row. And Sam Darnold's on the market winning 14 games, and you can't get me. I like Geno. I like them both, dude. If I had to pick one, I'd probably lean towards Geno, honestly, just because the Jets have proven that they will kill any quarterback. That's what all these quarterbacks that are on the market right now are showing you. Is like, get far away from the Jets, and you can resurrect your career. But if I had to, like the Titans, man, we haven't had anybody since Steve McNair. Like, God, Marcus Mariota, like, he was our hope. Tannehill, dude said Tannehill. I had to pull over off the road, man. Like, we haven't had anybody. Like, I need something in my life, and you're telling me we can get Sam Darnold, and you're just going to dismiss it? Like, it just sucks, dude. I don't know what we're doing in Tennessee.
I like the cut of Adam's jib. He was just swinging he was slanging it from the hip there. I like that.
The Jets thing's not wrong. I mean, that's it. You get away from the Jets, life tends to get better. I think a lot of their fans think that way as well. The be with a nice guy. Yeah, I get that. If Callahan knows how to coach him up, Darnold could be a fit, but other than that, you get your own guy and you do it from the ground up with a rookie.
Darnold was coached immaculately last year.
Perfect coaching.
Just to be clear, he was coached immaculately, so that would have to continue. Let's go to Vancouver and talk to Shane. Hi, Shane.
Hey, Dustin, Patrick. You guys are having a good show today. Thank you for the laugh. Man, it must be a slow day in sports if we're having this big of a discussion about Geno. Listen, I'm in Vancouver. I'm an hour and a half up the road from Seattle. I've been a Hawks fan for as long as I can remember. Listen, I suffered through the Rick Meyer years, if you guys are old enough to remember that.
Of course.
Well, I honestly, I got to reiterate what the guy from Portland said. I'm a Seahawks fan, and this is a good day for Seattle. I mean, Geno lost us 5 games last year by throwing either a pick or a pick 6 in the late in the fourth quarter in 5 games. I don't think Darnold's the answer. I think losing 2 of our top receivers, that was a big blow. And you had to know the writing was on the wall that Geno was going to go after that. I think they bring Howell out. I think they blow up this team and they start from scratch like Pete Carroll did long before the Super Bowl. I'm thank God that Russell Wilson has got a contract where he does, because they'd probably be wanting to go after him as well. I'm going to jump off, guys. Thanks very much for the time.
Good job, Shane. Nice little call from Canada there. My man, Shane. Geno not beloved amongst Seahawks fans. That's what we're starting to learn.
Yeah. Look, I don't know if you can put. I don't think you can put everything on Geno last year. That offense was okay. I think he was under pressure a lot. And by the way, I just looked it up. Before the trade, the Raiders had $80 million in cap space for this offseason. They'll have about, $40 million left over after they give Geno this deal? That's plenty to work with to make this roster interesting. I will give them that. The Raiders are going to be very interesting. What is the ceiling? I don't know, but they'll be competitive.
So you're saying Brady's cooking?
Tom Brady might know a little bit about football.
So okay? I'm just asking. You're saying he's cooking. I don't disagree. I mean, look, the Pete Carroll hire, initially, I thought it was LOL.
Sure, I agree.
But then I talked to enough. We took enough calls on it, and I was convinced. You know what? And here's what it did it for me. You know that donk down in Jacksonville when he did the Duval?
Liam Cohen?
Yeah. When all these people were like doing their pressers and they were super awkward and uncomfortable, and Carroll just kind of went in there and was like, look, we're just going to build the program. It's going to be awesome. And he was just very comfortable in his own skin. I was like, you know what? That kind of feels right. And then, first off, Tom Brady, his first choice was Matthew Stafford. Do not get it twisted. So he wasn't afraid of getting a vet. So 37-year-old, 34-year-old's not going to chase him away from Geno Smith. They believe, a la the Washington Commanders, the Raiders believe they can win sooner than later.
Yeah, but maybe the reason Pete Carroll's so comfortable in his skin is all the wrinkles and liver spots make it more comfortable.
Okay, Dustin, taking shots at Petey on the way out. When we come back, we're going to go to Atlantic City and talk to the race and sportsbook director at the Borgata, Thomas Gable. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Live betting reaction to all of the night's action. You're tuned in to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
I just wanted to say this because I was very contrite when we had our Gene Hackman dominated Mad Dog Sports Radio last week when he passed, and RIP, it's unfortunate. And then when I got to it, I said he's not a top 10 guy. I was corrected, and I stand corrected. I'm not coming back on it. He may be one of the great actors of all time. He is not one of the great housekeepers of all time, because apparently Gene Hackman died from heart disease a week after his wife's death. So she laid there. I'm just reporting what's being reported, and it's been corroborated by reputable sources. His wife was dead in the house, and my man just kept on doing his thing. Great actor, not a good housekeeper.
Look. I think
Careful,
our
Dustin.
next. No, I'm being very careful. Our next guest, Thomas Gable, should at least encourage you to see the movie Hoosiers. I don't think we discussed this with him, but the fact that you've never seen it and Gable loves basketball as much as he does, I think he's going to be offended by this news.
VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Dustin Swedelson. I'm Patrick Meagher. We're streaming live on YouTube. Appreciate everybody stopping in and saying hi. Spread the word. Give us a subscription. We appreciate you. Thomas Gable, the aforementioned. He runs the race and sports book over at the Borgata in Atlantic City. Gene Hackman, let's start there. Are you a big Gene Hackman guy, Mr. Gable?
I'm not a huge Gene Hackman fan. I certainly respect his body of work. I do find it a little concerning and confusing as to why he allowed his wife to lay dead in his house for a week. But Did I
Odd.
hear Dustin say correctly that you've never seen Hoosiers? Is that correct?
It is a blind spot in your boy's 47 years on this great planet.
That was like right in your wheelhouse too, in terms of the timeline of when that movie came out.
1986.
86,
Right.
yeah. I mean, I would have been 8 years old. I would have been eating it up, but
Yes,
I haven't seen it. You have seen it.
of course I have, a number of times. Very good movie. So I'm just wow.
That felt
You think you
lukewarm,
know
TG.
somebody?
That felt like a lukewarm review. You said, very good movie. Was it good or was it great?
Listen, it's been a number of years since I have seen it. I'll say that. It's probably I haven't seen it since I was a child, but I know I watched it a few times when I was a kid. And from what I remember, it was very good. So I can't make a present-day review of it.
All right. I'll do what I do every time, which is lie and say I'll watch it this weekend. I'll give you a review on Monday.
No, you won't. Yeah. I know you won't.
No, because
Exactly.
TG, you know what he does too? He watches movies, and when he thinks he can predict the ending, he just walks away. Or a TV show, he goes, it's predictable. I'm not going to finish it. As if maybe there's not a plot twist at the end for him.
Hey, I got to do what I got to do. All right. And it's just movies. I get bored. All right. Thomas Gable, I don't get bored of college basketball. It's a great time of the year. Got conference tournaments all over the place. Michigan State last night, slow start, beat Iowa. Michigan State continues to roll. Just wanted to bring up a couple of things. One, early on with the conference tournaments, and I know today, I think Dayton VCU is underway, but
Yes.
you are a big VCU guy, correct?
This year I am. I really like them this year. I think they're tremendous. And, I think we talked a little bit about them last week, and, they just continue to mow down teams in the Atlantic 10. This is obviously the regular season finale tonight. I know they're down one at half, I believe, at this point to Dayton. But top 25 defense nationally for VCU. Great coach in Ryan Odom. And, last year, Odom had a top 40 defense last year with this team. They didn't make the tournament. They had to settle for the NIT. But I still think this is a team that could possibly get to the Sweet 16 this year. And, the Atlantic 10 tournament, of course, is one of the ones that's looming next week. That being said, all that about VCU, I don't think it's going to be an easy cakewalk through the tournament, though, for them, because this is a pretty good conference overall. You have a couple teams that are more than capable of winning the tournament and giving VCU some trouble, including George Mason, St. Joe's, and their opponent here, Dayton, tonight. At one point, I actually had Dayton power rated pretty closely to VCU, only about a point apart. That was back at middle, end of December, and since that time, Dayton's fallen off a little bit, and certainly VCU has only gotten better. But Dayton, they have an above-average offense, pretty average defense, so they'll have to be hitting their shots from the outside. But I still think VCU, though, is the class of this league. Max Shulga there, their senior guard. He's just been absolutely tremendous, and you want to talk about on-off splits for somebody. I saw a stat for him. VCU outscores their opponents by 25 points more per 100 possessions when he's on the floor compared to when he's not. So he makes all the difference in the world for them, and he's a great talent. So we'll see how the second half goes tonight. VCU took money, 8.5 up to 10. So we'll see how this works out in the second half for them.
TG, before we get to tomorrow, I want to ask you about a game that just tipped off. We've got Purdue on the road in Champaign, Illinois. I stayed away. My initial thought was to back Illinois in this one. It's very early. They're up 5-2. What kind of action were you guys taking when it comes to this game? Because it felt like the sharp people, from what I could tell, were on Purdue, and Illinois might have been public. Is that right or wrong?
Well, here it was mostly Purdue money, 4.5. We didn't move. No, it was all recreational money on Purdue here. Now, Illinois, this is a team that weeks ago I was pretty high on, and I know that they battled through some injuries and illnesses through the year, and certainly affected some of their play and outcomes there, but. I have looked at this team differently after the Duke game when they played Duke. And I mean, listen, yes, they got their doors blown off, and that was just back on February 22nd. The problem is, and yeah, Duke is, if not the best, certainly one of the best teams. I mean, I have them power rated the highest in all of college basketball. But the thing that made me look at Illinois differently after that game was just their effort. I feel like that team quit in that game, and that it just after that, I just wrote them off after that game because even if you're getting blown out, you can't quit, and they just didn't seem to have any sort of effort there in the second half of that game.
I'm sure you saw it. Thomas Gable, he runs the race and sportsbook at the Borgata in Atlantic City. That's the best property, best sportsbook on the East Coast. Stop by and say hi to TG. I opened with Gene Hackman. I probably should have opened with Geno Smith. You saw that Geno Smith got traded to the Raiders. I'm just curious as a sportsman to get your thoughts.
I think it kind of I kind of like the move. I'm not surprised by it. That's the type of quarterback that the Raiders would look to get right out of the chute here with Pete Carroll. Obviously, Seattle's going through some things there with cutting Lockett and potentially losing Metcalf, and now obviously Geno Smith. So they're going to be a completely different team. But I don't mind the fit there with Las Vegas. I think it might be okay there for a year or two.
So also going with that story, TG, the reports are from Diana Rossini, Seattle's shifting their attention to Sam Darnold. What do you think of Sam Darnold in Seattle minus DK Metcalf, minus Tyler Lockett? Do you think that makes any sense?
And not a very good offensive line either.
Bad.
So, yeah, that I don't know. I mean, listen, Darnold obviously had a tremendous year. A lot of that, I think, was due to the system and coaching that he had there in Minnesota. I don't know if Darnold's one of those guys who just translates and can go anywhere. I think we've seen enough through his career at this point where he's probably going to he's going to be a system quarterback, and he's going to have success when he finds a system that fits him, i.e. like he had in Minnesota, and who knows what they're going to have in Seattle next year.
Okay, just a programming note. Adam Hill, Las Vegas Courier-Journal, is going to join us at the bottom of the hour, talk about the big news with Geno Smith headed to Las Vegas. Thomas Gable joining us now. Let's talk about Saturday's slate as we come closer to the end of the regular season. We'll start with Bama and Auburn. So Bama looking for a bounce back. They did lose at home this week to Florida. What's your take on this one?
Well, both teams coming off losses here, and in Alabama's case, 2 consecutive losses, both of which also ultimately I think cost them a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, the heartbreaking but also head-scratching loss at Tennessee last Saturday, and then getting beat by Florida at home on Wednesday night. And actually, Bama has lost 4 of their last 6, and this is why I haven't been able to take them all that seriously as a title contender this year. And yes, the offense is there, play at an extremely quick pace, but defensively, this team can be beat in a number of ways, whether that's from outside or they'll get out-muscled down low, which is exactly what Florida did to them. Florida scored 52 points in the paint against them, and they out-rebounded them by 15. And now, I think if you're an Alabama future ticket holder, maybe it's not time to panic yet. Last season, they didn't close out the regular season in impressive fashion either. They went 2-3 over their last 5 games and then lost in the quarterfinals of the SEC tournament, and they still ended up making a Final Four run. So maybe you'll see a repeat of that this year. But this is a team I just never could really get behind in any sort of futures, and I just think the defense is too lacking to win a national championship. And then, of course, with Auburn, they got pushed around a bit in their 83-72 loss to a Texas A&M team that came in pretty desperate in that game. Mm-hmm. And, it was a letdown spot for Auburn after they clinched and went out on the road to A&M. So I don't think that was really anything that you should be concerned about with Auburn. I make this game 9. It's currently sitting 7.5. So right now it's 7.5. I probably would lean Auburn, but it more than likely this is just going to be a stay away game for me.
Yeah, I think that says a lot about Auburn too, where we're at with them. Another team that's weird is Marquette. TG. They 5 of their 8 losses since February 1st after getting out to an awesome start. Tomorrow they're hosting St. John's. They're 2.5-point favorites. Total's 141.5. Would you even consider taking Marquette, or is it the Johnnies all the way?
I would consider taking Marquette in this spot. At home, 2.5. I don't know 2.5. I actually made it 1.5, which is where we opened it. I wouldn't take the Johnnies here in this spot. And, listen, St. John's, they are very popular future play for us, especially where we sit locally. We have a decent amount of liability on them to win the national title. They're currently 25-1, and this is obviously going to close out the regular season for them. Very, very good team defensively, top 3 in defensive efficiency in the country. And, when you look at their future prospects to go along with that defense, they also have who I consider one of the best head coaches of all time in Rick Pitino. But personally, this is not a team that I would bet even when they were around 50-1 to win the title. There's just too much variance with this team on the offensive end. 2 key areas that I always look at when it comes tournament time, and that's 3-point shooting and free throws. And frankly, St. John's is terrible at both. They're shooting just over 30% from 3 on the season and below 69% from the foul line. And that is going to cost you close games come tournament time. And, I say that knowing full well this is a team that potentially could be undefeated in conference play this season. But I just don't like to see those stats going into March on a team that's supposed to be a title contender. They have the defense, and they play with a ton of intensity, and, Pitino can coach them up. But offensively, they're too lacking for me. And, with this Marquette team here, this isn't Shaka Smart's best team that I've ever seen. But honestly, I don't expect much more than a Sweet 16 run at best from them. They're just not that type of team this year. They can turn you over. They do a great job on the offensive side protecting the ball, but offensively this team just doesn't have enough firepower to sustain a deep run in the tournament. Tomorrow against St. John's, I do lean Marquette here, but overall I'm not very bullish on their future prospects.
Like hearing that. A breakdown of St. John's as we head closer and closer to the tournament. Thomas Gable, Borgata, he runs the race and sportsbook there in Atlantic City. Ole Miss in Florida. Let's talk about that matchup tomorrow.
Yeah, so this game is currently sitting 11, Florida laying 11. I make it 11.5. And Ole Miss already rained on Tennessee's parade on Wednesday night, beating the Volunteers, and now they have an opportunity to do the same to a Florida team who's in pole position now for the number 1 seed. And Ole Miss, at least, they've locked up a single bye in the SEC tournament, and that win against Tennessee should give them a nice boost here for seeding in the NCAA tournament. But this is one where I don't see Florida taking their foot off the gas at all. They've locked up the 2 seed in the SEC tournament and a double bye. This is just a complete team. Great backcourt led by senior Walter Clayton Jr. Point there, along with Richard and Martin, and they have the experience you look for in March. And the front court is big. They're physical. They have 4 guys that they can rotate through, and they just don't lose much when they do that rotation. And again, it's that depth that's going to prove key come tournament time. They play unselfish. They rebound. They get up and down the floor. They're just a lot to handle. And quite frankly, Todd Golden has this group playing like a team that can win a national title. I think if there's one weakness on Florida, it's possibly foul shooting, just over 71% from the line. I would prefer to see that a little bit higher, but that would be the only thing with the Gators I don't necessarily like. But overall, they're a complete team, and certainly I feel deserving of a number 1 seed.
Okay, it's lost a bit of its luster, TG, but we've got number 2 Duke at North Carolina in Chapel Hill. Duke's laying 11.5. Total's 157.5. I want your thoughts on the game, but I'm also curious, as someone who loves college basketball, would you rather see this middle-of-the-road North Carolina team in the NCAA tournament, or would you rather see an at-large go to one of the better mid-majors that doesn't win their league?
One of the better mid-majors who doesn't win their league. Absolutely. I'm not somebody who thinks that just because a team comes from a power conference and they've had an average year that they deserve to be in over a mid-major who had a fantastic year and maybe didn't win their conference tournament. So now North Carolina, they've been playing better, I guess you could say, but I still this is a complete mismatch with Duke. Obviously down year overall for the ACC, but again, this Duke team, I have them power rated number 1. I actually have them a point and a half better than Auburn at this point, and they are a complete freight train. I have guys who literally have been betting them blindly every single game and just continuing to cash. They don't even care what the number is. They'll just come in and lay the points, whatever it is with Duke. And at this point, I wouldn't want to get in front of them. I know this number's come down a bit from the opener, and it's moved towards Carolina here, but I'm not somebody who would want to put my money on Carolina against Duke tomorrow.
Okay, let me ask you if you're a believer. Oh, by the way, I don't know if we spoke to you. We had Ken Pomeroy on last week, and
nice.
I was asking him specifically about, I think his numbers show Duke and Auburn to be historically, and he's been doing it forever, as you know, Thomas, two of the best teams that he's graded out. And he was quick to say, this is going to make you happy. He was quick to say, the Houston Cougars are not far behind as one of the better teams he's graded.
Right. And for myself, neither. I mean, like I said, I have Duke a point and a half better on a neutral over Auburn. And right now, let me pull up Houston here. I only have them another half point behind Auburn. So, yeah, I mean, Houston is right there in terms of my power ratings. And, I think the kind of the advanced sites like Ken Pom or Bart Torvik, they're very high in Houston as well. And as you know, I love Houston, and this is I think Kelvin Sampson's best shot. I think the offense is better this year than we've seen in the past, even with no Jamal Shedd. They're a better 3-point shooting team this year, and they're not necessarily as prone to those cold spells as the Cougars teams have been in past years.
I'm just curious, TG. It's obviously a big weekend for some of these bubble teams. Like, I don't see number yet for Oklahoma at Texas tomorrow. I do see one, though, for Arkansas hosting Mississippi State. I believe they're still kind of on the bubble and maybe can work themselves in or out how things go against the Bulldogs. Razorbacks laying 1.5, totals 148.5. Do any other bubble teams intrigue you, and your thoughts on Arkansas hosting Mississippi State?
What was the number you saw for Mississippi State in that one?
I see Arkansas laying 1.5, 148.5 is the total.
And Mississippi State's at home?
No, Arkansas's at home. Oh, you know what?
At home.
I'm seeing two different books have two different lines. One has Arkansas minus 1.5, and one has Arkansas plus 1.
That's interesting. And Arkansas is at home. So, I'd make that game basically a pick. I mean, this is, again, do I think Arkansas should be in? No. Mississippi State, yes. I don't necessarily think Mississippi State's a team. Again, I kind of would rate them closer to a Marquette where maybe they max out at a Sweet 16 berth, best case scenario. I don't think they're going to do too much more damage in the tournament than that.
Thomas, thank you. Enjoy the basketball. Enjoy your weekend. Thomas Gable, he runs the race and sports book at the Borgata in Atlantic City. He's our buddy. Thanks, TG. Appreciate you.
Thank you, and enjoy not watching Hoosiers this weekend, Patrick.
No, well, thank you very much. There goes TG. I did say I will watch Hoosiers, and come with a proper review on Monday.
I hope so. I think you'll enjoy it. I think it'll be a lot like last night where you don't want to do it. You're going to dread the idea of the buildup, and then you're going to get done with it, and you're going to say, you know what? That was a good 90 minutes. I enjoyed the 90 minutes of my life watching a great basketball movie. And you know me, I love to crap on things everyone hates. Hoosiers is a great movie.
90 minutes? That's ironic because there was 90 minutes between the last when I last said something and you started talking.
I didn't have you on my screen. Look, sometimes you're like, hey, I'm not done yet. Shut the hell up. Other times you're like, are you going to talk yet?
That's true. I'm not denying any of it.
I have a bit of PTSD for being
not
fair.
Not denying any of it. You just gotta be an alpha and jump in there. The big guy. He told me that we could talk about. By the way, he told me we could talk about the drive home last night.
Yeah,
because we had a tremendous time. Dustin got me an awesome birthday gift. He's super kind. Bought me dinner. I was very thankful. His girlfriend, amazing. And we had a great time because the Knicks and Lakers game was on and went to overtime. And we'll talk about the experience later in the program. And then we also have to talk about the experience of driving home.
Yes, there was a conversation where I was reprimanded for doing something that I do quite often in front of her, and she's kind of overseeing it happen.
Well, it might look. You and I, when we eat, we just get down. So I don't know. I don't know what was said. I might actually have your back on this one because I'm just hungry. You know what I'm saying? I came home and ate a lot more food when I got home.
So it's a two-part thing. The first part was we went to a fancy dinner on Valentine's Day. In the middle of the dinner, she smiles and she always says it very nicely. She's like, Dustin, I'm going to knock the white trash out of you, okay?
Wow.
When you're struggling to put something on your fork, it's okay to use your knife. You don't have to battle it with your fork the whole time. And I went, okay, I don't know etiquette. I don't know what we're doing. The second thing, and this is every time we go out to eat, everywhere we go, and we go out to eat a lot because I check my bank statements and they add up. She said, you need to, when you're eating with other people and you're having a conversation, you need to come up for air and speak to other people, not just smash your sandwich and your fries before anyone else takes a bite of their food. She's like,
fair enough.
We're all talking, and you were just hovering your food into your mouth.
Fair enough.
I eat most meals alone. That's normally how I act.
yeah, me too. But I would say in that instance, you would say in the future, yes, but with Patrick, it doesn't matter.
Yes. Yeah, and also I said to her, I really wasn't involved in the conversation very much. It was mostly you two.
Her and I were just chopping it up.
So I was able to just eat my meal. And by the way, I was starving, so I was happy about that.
Me too. Hey, I ain't judging you. I was hungry too. All right. And I appreciate the dinner. When we come back, our buddy, it's Las Vegas Courier Journal. Is that how I say it? I always get it
Las Vegas
up.
Review Journal.
Review Journal. The man that has been covering Vegas sports forever and doing it better than anybody is Adam Hill. And he is going to join us next because Vegas is the epicenter of the big story of the day right now as Geno Smith has been traded to the Raiders for a third-round pick going back to Seattle. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Now back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Had a big meeting about this earlier today. People are like, what are we doing? We're giving away everything for free over at vsin.com, but we are until Selection Sunday. So this is your opportunity. We're opening the floodgates, let you in, see if you like the product. We're going to give you the picks every day, which is crazy. Get all the conference tournaments picks tomorrow, college basketball, golf, everything, right? And then you get the splits, you get the guides, you get everything we offer for free until Selection Sunday. So I think our bosses have kind of lost their minds, but take advantage of it. vsin.com. All right. Now, the big news, just as we were starting the program, it was announced that Geno Smith had been traded from Seattle to the Las Vegas Raiders. So Tom Brady got his guy, we think, after he missed out on Stafford, that is. And the Raiders sent back a third rounder, which, by the way, we dug. It was a third rounder that was recouped from the trade for Devontae Adams. So they keep their third-round draft pick, flip the third rounder for Devontae for Geno Smith. To discuss that, the best to do it, covering Las Vegas sports, Las Vegas Review-Journal. He is Adam Hill, and we appreciate Adam because he was just covering a UFC presser. He's a busy man. He was covering a UFC presser, but gives us a couple of minutes here to talk about the big trade. Adam, my friend, how are you?
I am good. I thought it was a weekend to focus on UFC before free agency started, but never the case. The NFL never stops. And Devontae for Geno Smith seems like a fair trade? I don't know.
What was your immediate reaction?
So it's funny. It's not really immediate because we did a podcast this morning at the Review Journal breaking down the likelihood and possibility of the Geno Smith to the Raiders trade. So I've kind of had some time to process it. I understand if I put myself in a fan hat, which I am not a fan, I just cover the team, but if I'm a fan, I'd probably be pretty upset. Like, this is not what you signed up for with this new administration. They said no Band-Aids, no short-term answers at quarterback. It's going to be, solving the problem for foreseeable future. And then they go out and get Geno Smith, which to me is a pretty short-term solution. Now, apparently, if you believe, my friend Jordan Schultz, who, stay away from him at Starbucks, but definitely follow him on Twitter, he just said that the Raiders plan to make him the, quote, quarterback of the future with a significant long-term investment on the contract. That'd be concerning to me, but I don't think that's necessarily the plan. I think they still know that they have to solve the problem long-term at some point, probably starting with this draft, but at least it's within the next, 12 months.
Yeah, you'd imagine they still draft a quarterback of the future, Adam, and thanks for doing this. Other names you heard realistically discussed before the Geno deal ended up happening, like realistic names that sounded like there was some traction and some interest before this deal went down that could have ended up the Raiders quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they were very all in on Matt Stafford. There's no question about that. They were, very much in pursuit of him. They tried to get that deal done. They had a meeting at a ski lodge to try to get Matt Stafford here, and they came to financial terms with Matt Stafford. Like, he was good with where they were. Not sure that they wanted to give up everything the Rams wanted, but that was a realistic possibility. It's something they really did. I do believe that they still have somewhat of an interest in Justin Fields, or at least they did have an interest in Justin Fields, but I don't know that they are sure he's going to be available. I thought that maybe they might get interested in Sam Darnold, but to me, this looks like Sam Darnold is a Seattle bound now, so maybe this was picking Geno Smith over Sam Darnold potentially if you're the Raiders. It makes sense because Geno Smith played for Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll knows him, he understands him, he believes in him, and that's the connection that they made here. And I think you're going to see a lot of guys that are connected to both Pete Carroll and General Manager John Spytek that are brought in. I think that they're going to try to go for guys they're comfortable with here in their first round at free agency. So this one made sense, but yeah, there was some names for sure. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders is still a guy that is very connected to them because of the long-time Tom Brady connection. But I don't think they were fully sold on Sam Darnold, and I don't think some of the other options out there. I mean, obviously, Aaron Rodgers is a very short-term solution. So I think it was, some exploring some options and thinking, hey, do we want to hope that Justin Fields is available, or do we want to take our chances and, make sure we seal up a Geno Smith move right now? And that's the way they chose to go.
Adam Hill joining us straight from the UFC presser. The news, Geno Smith is a Raider, third-round draft pick going back to Seattle. Las Vegas Review-Journal. the Max Crosby deal. We were having a discussion yesterday, and Dustin said, "Is he a top 5 edge rusher?" And I said, "Oh gosh, yes." And we started talking about it. Do you believe Crosby's in that top 5 edge conversation?
I mean, we're on radio, but can I do an asterisk on radio?
Of course.
I mean, yeah, Max Crosby at his best is a top 5 edge rusher. And then I'll throw my asterisk and say Max Crosby plays way too many snaps. People have said that for a long time. I think Max Crosby, all the things that are really, really good about Max Crosby also could potentially be negatives. And the fact that he refuses to take a snap off, he refuses to take a rep off at practice, which is wild. The guy just goes a million miles an hour every single day. So last year, he has the first significant struggle with injury of his career, missed much of the season. Even when he was playing, he was limited by injury. And let me tell you, it was painful to see him try to go through practice and try to go through games. It was rough to watch. He was so hurt and trying to still give a million miles an hour every single play. So could he come to a premature de-escalation of his career? I think that's possible for sure. So Max Crosby at his best, yes, is top 5. But somebody suggested we might not see that guy again. I have a hard time believing that because of how hard he's working in rehab and how hard we know he goes every day. But I think that there could be some concern in the second half of his career that he can't maintain this kind of pace.
Well, Adam, let's say he does come back and he is the old Max Crosby. On that defense, it's him, Christian Wilkins, who you're building around. I'm just curious, Monday, free agency technically starts with the tampering period. What do you expect to be the focus for the offseason now that they've got the quarterback in tow in Geno Smith for the Raiders? What do you think are the biggest needs that they're going to address?
So they also made a little bit of a minor move today. I'm sure, it definitely got overshadowed with Geno, but they cut Andre James, veteran center, from the team, which is a signal that Jackson Powers-Johnson is the center of the future. He's going to move over from guard to center. And I think that they like a lot of what they have on the rest of the offensive line, developing guys over there. For sure, they got a couple of young players on the offensive line, 2 rookies from last year, a couple of the younger guys that were pretty good, and then a veteran in Colton Miller on the left side. They could maybe use some depth there, but on the offensive side, I would say wide receiver 1, because to me, Jacoby Myers is an elite wide receiver 2 and a good wide receiver 1. So I think you need to get that wide receiver 1 in place. And I think on the defensive side, they've got a ton of guys. 7 players that played 50% of snaps or more last year on defense are internal free agents. So those guys are going to be, interesting to see who they're going to bring back. And sorry, I got a bunch of calls coming in now. I think Geno Smith news coming in here. But Robert Spillane, their middle linebacker, a guy who's been top 5 in tackles the last 2 years. He's the coach of the team on the defense, the quarterback of the defense. Like, he's number 1 priority to me for them to sign coming up here. If not, they have a desperate need at linebacker. Trayvon Merrick, I think, is going to get a huge contract from somewhere, so they might have to replace him at safety. But depth on the defensive line as well. Christian Wilkins is back, but a bunch of defensive tackles are free agents. They have to go there. And I think they need an edge rusher on the other side. I mean, they tried to get it with Tyree Wilson. It just hasn't worked out. I think they could use another edge rusher to take some of the pressure off Crosby. So those are the all 3 layers of the defense. They need a guy, and then I think wide receiver 1 is the number 1 priority on offense.
Adam, just one more question. We'll let you get back to business. The early returns on Pete Carroll and Spytek and Brady, I don't know if you've had much interaction with the franchise. Does anything seem different thus far?
So, I mean, I'll start with maybe the one that got the least amount of attention. I am a full-throated endorser of John Spytek. I think the guy is going to be unbelievable. I will tell anybody that asks, everything that I've done, that I've talked to, everyone I've talked to, everything I've done in terms of, background and researching him, everything screams that he's going to be an unbelievable success in this league. And I think John Spytek was a great hire at GM. And so far you've seen a lot of, these little small moves along the way that suggest that he's going to be good. I don't love the Geno Smith move, but I think that's more Pete Carroll. So I think John Spytek is going to be very, very good for a long time. I think Pete Carroll, probably not here for very long, but I think he's the right kind of guy to help build foundation to make sure that they hand off to an even better choice next time when they have a new coach to hire in 2 or 3 years. And, Tom Brady has taken 2 big swings. He tried to recruit Matt Stafford. He tried to recruit Ben Johnson. he missed on both, but he was able to get in the door, right? And I think the Raiders are a team that weren't able to get in the door on a lot of these things in the past. So the fact that he's been able to get them in the door and at least come close to making some of these big splashy moves, I think that's a good sign for what he can bring to this team as well.
That's a great answer. Adam Hill, Las Vegas Review-Journal. Thanks, man. I know it's a busy day. Really appreciate a few minutes, Adam. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Anytime, guys.
Okay, see you later. There goes Adam Hill, who does a great job. He's busy. Just came from the UFC presser. By the way, this is being reported, Dustin. Albert Breer, who is credible, he said the Seahawks open trade discussions with the Raiders with a blockbuster proposal. Geno Smith and DK Metcalf to Vegas for Max Crosby. Vegas quickly shot that down and told Seattle that Crosby was not available. So it goes back to what I believe Crosby is insanely good. Good insight from Adam about his work ethic maybe being a detriment. The McDonald, everybody would agree what he did with Baltimore's defense that 1 year at Michigan and a 10-7 record last year as a rookie head coach. McDonald obviously is all in on Max Crosby if he was willing to offer up that package.
That is a crazy deal. By the way, I want to note this tweet just popped back up into my timeline. Back on February 24th, you may not have seen it because you're not chronically online like the rest of us, but there was a report about Pete Carroll sitting in coach on a plane. And who was in first class? John Schneider and Mike McDonald. This whole thing got started on that flight, I have to believe. Kind of crazy. February 24th, all the way to now. Was it March 7th? And at one point, it was reported by Grant Cohn, who I guess was the one on the flight, who covers the Niners, that Carroll got up, walked into first class to talk to McDonald and Schneider during the flight. And he kind of predicted at the time, bet Pete is trying to trade for Geno Smith. And that came to fruition. That is freaking wild.
Who's reporting that?
Grant Cohn. I have the tweet from, I remember watching it in my timeline. I think it was during the weekend on February 24th. And they were on a flight, same flight, wherever they were going. I don't know where. But that's how this thing got done.
But isn't the bigger story there that Pete Carroll, the Raiders put him in coach?
I mean, but Pete Carroll could have put himself in coach. It could have been a personal flight, and he's just like a normal person, not willing to waste money on a first-class flight.
Look, I can be frivolous. I know this. But if you're in your 70s and you're rich, you never fly anything but first class.
Yeah, but the only reason you would fly first class is because it's less people to walk through and less people that might talk to you. That's why you want to fly first class. I don't think Pete Carroll's built that way.
Oh, yeah, you know what? That's a good point. He wants to chop it up.
He's the weirdo on the plane being like, he's raw dogging the flight. There's no headphones. There's no cell phone. There's no movie being watched.
Yeah.
He hopes a stranger sits next to him, and he has the conversation of a lifetime.
He asks the person as soon as they sit down together on the plane, where are you headed?
Yes. What you got going on there? Are you going home or going away?
Yeah. You going home? You on vacation? You going to work? What do you got? Chomping gum.
Yeah.
That is Pete. You know what? If we get really bored this summer, we could do worst head coach to end up next to on a plane.
Next to on a plane? You know what? That is a good topic. That is
the easiest answer is if you have a daughter, Bill Belichick.
Well, yeah. Especially if she's college aged.
Thanks.
Let's see. I mean, Dave Canales up there.
No, you get some good entertainment.
I
he's
know,
got his laptop.
But he's also going to try and convert you on the flight.
That's true. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. Geno Smith. My question becomes, if the Seattle Seahawks sign Sam Darnold to a, hey, here's our franchise quarterback as a free agent on Monday, is that an upgrade? It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Welcome back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Meagher. Also streaming live on YouTube. We welcome you. If you're in the chat, say hi. And do us a favor, a solid. Give us a subscribe and a thumbs up. We appreciate you. Going to slowly build that up as we continue with the news of the day. And then I asked on the way out, the question, Sam Darnold, so there are rumors that Seattle is now going to be interested come Monday when free agency opens up, potentially adding Sam Darnold as their future. And we are getting reports. And again, it ends up being, if you're a Raider fan or you're just interested in the trade, it ends up being Devontae Adams for Geno Smith. The Raiders do have their own third-round draft pick. So I think that's a pretty clean trade if you're the Raiders and justifying it. I think what's going to happen is come Monday, and we're going to start to find out next week, that Minnesota botched it, Dustin. Minnesota is going to lose Sam Darnold, and so what's plan B if J.J. McCarthy is not ready? You could have franchised him for a year and then just moved on to McCarthy. I think there is going to be a robust market for Darnold. Others don't.
The franchise tag was literally created for the situation the Vikings found themselves in. They had a quarterback who had a good year that they were able to find and develop, and instead of having nothing to show for that, an ability to keep him under your control for another season at a high price rate, but you can lock him up and not lose anything for the player that you helped create. Instead, they didn't franchise tag him and try and work out a longer-term deal. And with that, now they open up to any other team could potentially sign him, and they'll have nothing to show for all the work they did, all the progress they made last season. Honestly, it could be a fireable move down the road if they don't find someone else to go with J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, I remember when we were talking about it at the beginning of the week. I was like, obviously they're going to franchise him. And then actually it's like, they're not franchising him. So I was like, I don't even understand that.
It's a weird move.
Yeah, weird. Let's say hi to our buddy David in Buffalo here on VSiN Live. Hi, David.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call tonight, man. A couple takes on some of the trades today. First with Geno Smith and then something on hockey. I think for the Raiders, it's a smart move. It's a good stability type play for a few years, but he's going to really give that team some credibility. I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender with him, but good, smart move. But on the other side of it, with the hockey trades today, love the Florida Panthers going to get Brad Marchand. I mean, to me, in an area like South Florida, Miami, West Palm, where hockey's not the biggest thing, they know their window is now to win a championship again, try to go back-to-back. They made some really good moves for right now, and I think they got to be considered the favorite. I don't know what the betting lines say there, but, man, I love the moves they made to defend their Stanley Cup this year.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. Have a nice weekend. That was, for hockey fans in Boston, that was a gut punch moving on from Marchand.
Yeah, I'm going to pretend I know who he is, but it sounds
who
like
Brad. If you saw a picture of Brad Marchand, you'd know who it is.
Number 15?
I don't know his number, but you know his nose. Go ahead
63.
and Google it. Derek in Seattle, who can have a take here. Sam Darnold or Geno Smith? Let's see. Derek, hi.
Okay, well, you guys brought up a good point. Now, who's the stupider team? The Vikings for not franchising, or for the Seattle Seahawks for potentially getting Sam Darnold? God, I'm sick to my stomach. I think just about all Seahawks fans, we love Geno. He's not Mahomes. He's not Burrow. But he's tough. He's the toughest guy we've seen in years. He's a competitor. He's not the reason the Seahawks have not made the playoffs. This just drives me crazy. They're gutting the team. I get it. They're, light years behind Philly and and Detroit. I understand the reasoning, but Sam Darnold sucks. I watched him at USC. He sucked then. He sucked at the Jets. He sucked everywhere he goes. And the fact that you guys are right, I think there's a lot of buzz about him coming to Seattle, makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, it's a good call. I'm glad to hear that somebody in Seattle, because it seems to be mixed on Geno. I'm glad to hear. I just recognize his toughness. You watch him play. He played through injury, played in every game over the past 3 years. You like to see that.
He raises the floor. I don't know what the ceiling is, but he raises the floor. He's a good quarterback. He's more than serviceable. He's better than average. He's a good quarterback. The Darnold thing, it's perplexing if he goes to Seattle because they're tearing it down. How is he going to look? Now, the one thing we should note is that it was pointed out, I saw on Twitter, Orlovsky mentioned this, but Clint Kubiak's the OC there now. Kubiak comes from, obviously, his dad's system, but also runs a similar system to O'Connell, so maybe they think that'll translate right away. I love Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's a very nice player. He had an awesome year. He's not Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, it's hard to sell. Moving on from Geno and bringing in Sam Darnold as your future. If I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
Let's get some college basketball picks from our buddy Tommy in San Diego for this evening. Hey, Tommy.
Dude, you guys better hurry up, man.
Let's go. What do you got?
You're going to miss it. Portland, dude, just beat Pepperdine by 20 both times. You got to tell me, what am I missing here?
Let's check out the number, Dustin. Do you have Portland's number tonight? Let me just see if I could pull it up.
Minus 1.5. Dude, they beat them by 20 the last 2 times.
You don't feel like you're being duped by the line then?
Oh, my God. Dude, was there a bus crash that I don't know about on the way down?
By the way, the number's just shortened up to a pick'em. So the Pepperdine is steamy.
Something's up.
Something must. That game goes off. That game goes off in just a few minutes here. Go ahead, Dustin.
76% of the money on 44% of the bets backing Pepperdine in this spot.
You want to explain it to everybody what that means?
Something is crazy.
That means they're the sharp money, the people who move markets, they're betting way more than there are bets on this game betting on Pepperdine.
Yeah. Tommy, because you're my guy, look what I'm doing right now. I'm betting Portland. Let's fade this team.
Oh, let's go.
I literally just.
right?
Yeah, we're going to fade that team. I just literally bet a good amount on it just because randomly Tommy called in and said he liked it.
Hey,
so
you got to
read
the tone. You read the tone. You feel it. You hear it out. He was giving you vibes that he knows what he's talking about.
But that's super steamy if it was like, let's see. What did it open? Donkey Kong? Let's find out.
I don't have the opener. Give me 1 second. Opener.
I'll tell you here. Pepperdine and Portland. Let's see.
Minus 1.5 Portland.
And see, now it's a pick'em. So I just went head first against this team. Hopefully it pays out. And that is a call for therapy. Tommy, who I've never met, called with a tremendous tingle that he loved Portland tonight, and I just bet way too much money on it because he literally just sounded so confident.
I mean, you could write a book, How to Let Strangers Influence You and Lose Your Money.
That's baseball, Susan. There's nothing I can do about it.
Hey, look, if this makes you feel better, it looks like draft. I was using the Circa book, which is more sharp betting. DraftKings, the money on the public book, 83% of the money, 78% of the bets backing Portland, if that helps.
No, why would that make me feel better if a bunch of donks are backing Portland?
Because
it's
it's
the most idiotic take of all time.
It's a pick'em. It's literally 50-50.
I don't feel good about those DraftKings donks. Shout to DraftKings. Coming up next, Zachary Cohen, straight from VSiN.com. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Sweat your bets with VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. It's Champ Week. Now, here's the deal. I've been working at VSiN since like 2017, a long time, 6, 7, 8 years, somewhere in there. 6, 7, 8 years, a nice little spread. I don't know which is which. But in my time here, we've never just said, here you go to VSiN.com and have at it. Have all the picks from Zachary Cohen, Dustin Swedelson, our expert, Steve Makinen, the whole crew, every single sport covered every single day. Go ahead, check out the splits. Go ahead, check out the resources. Go ahead, check out the guides. And it's free 90 free. We charge you nothing. So go to VSiN.com and check out all the information. And while you're there, sign up for the daily newsletter. It's free. You just enter your email address, and it shows up in your inbox every single morning. Our buddy Zach Cohen, VSiN.com senior editor. You can find him on Twitter. It's a good handle, Betting on X, and he joins us now. He's a Jets fan, so he's not overly concerned about Geno to the Raiders. But I am curious your initial reaction. Geno Smith on his way. Speaking of the Jets, the Raiders used the Devontae Adams third rounder they got back and flipped it for Geno Smith. What was your take on the trade?
I thought it was interesting because I don't think Geno's the type of acquisition that really puts you to the next level. I think the Raiders are still going to be looking, at 7-8 wins, best case scenario. Obviously, there are some people that are a lot higher on Geno than I am. I know that Seattle didn't have, the best offensive line while he was there, but I just don't think that that's as exciting of a move. I actually think that, the Seahawks might end up being better off if they do end up bringing in Darnold.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you about, from one Jets quarterback, Geno Smith, to another in Sam Darnold. Now, DK Metcalf's on the move. They released Tyler Lockett. Do you think Sam Darnold plays winning football up in Seattle with that kind of recipe?
I mean, I think it will just depend on what they're able to do with that offensive line. If it wasn't good for Geno Smith, it's going to need to be good for Darnold. I know that, they're pretty excited about Kubiak, the offensive coordinator there. He has a history. Arnold's feeling pretty good about, potentially figuring that out. But obviously, losing a talent like Metcalf doesn't help anybody. You're going to be really relying on that defense to take another step. And I think you're going to be hoping that, you hit on some picks in the draft and make some moves in free agency. I don't think Darnold on his own really does enough for you.
Zach, we had heard Aaron Rodgers' name mentioned potentially for the Raiders. His name has been mentioned, obviously, potentially for a bunch of teams. As a Jets fan and somebody that watched him probably more than most, a lot of people argue and say the stats weren't bad. I don't know if the eyeball test was all that great on Rodgers. What was your takeaway watching Rodgers last year with the Jets?
I mean, the experience as a whole was horrible. I mean, the stuff just going on McAfee every week and, parading around while we were losing was terrible. And obviously the off the field stuff is a little bit nightmarish, but I will say, towards the end of the season, he started to play pretty well. Obviously that ended up costing the Jets, some draft slots, but I do think that he has a little bit more to offer a team, especially the further removed he is from that Achilles surgery. So if he ends up in the right situation, I could definitely see him playing well. I'm not sure that situation is with the Giants, just a few minutes over. I'm not sure I see that working out very well because I just don't think that defense is good enough to support him. But if he ends up on a team that has something in place like the Steelers, I could see it working out, especially if he goes there, with a Devontae Adams. I'm not sure if that's a possibility, but they need help at receiver. They need help at quarterback. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so what do we even expect the real market to be for Aaron Rodgers? You mentioned the Steelers. I'm a Giants fan. I want the Giants to sign him, but it's not because I want to win football games. It's because I'm not high on the quarterbacks in this draft class, Zach. So you look at the market. FanDuel Canada has it up. Giants are the favorite, -110. Steelers +270. Obviously, the Raiders now are gone. The Colts +490. He said he wants to go to a good team that also is trying to win. Is there a match for Aaron Rodgers at this point outside of Pittsburgh?
There's definitely not a perfect match because I also heard him say he wants to go to a city with good weather too. And there's not a team with good weather, a winning organization that's, clamoring for a 42-year-old quarterback. So I don't think there's a perfect situation. The Giants seems the most likely just because I think that they're desperate for a quarterback. And I do think that they would try to bring Adams in if he wanted him. So it makes sense that they're a favorite to me, but yeah, these are not great options.
Zachary Cohen, VSiN.com, senior editor. So as we were welcoming you in, Zach, we talked about a tremendous offer we've got going on right now, just inviting a bunch of new listeners on Mad Dog and, of course, SiriusXM, Channel 158, VSiN's new home on SiriusXM. Say, come on over, check out Zach's writing, check out Zach's picks, and Adam Burke and Steve Makinen, and on and on and on. Part of that is the conference previews as far as the conference tournaments. You wrote up the Southern Conference, West Coast Conference, Horizon League, Patriot League. Maybe you could give an overview of what a new visitor over to VSiN.com can expect as we head from conference tournaments into the NCAA tournament.
I mean, you can expect pretty much everything. I mean, over the next 2 weeks, the amount of college basketball content that we're going to have is going to be crazy. We're going to have a preview of every single conference tournament. Sunday and Monday, we're going to be absolutely loaded up with, the major conferences. So definitely a great time to check that out. But if you like picks, which is why you're listening to this show, I think, head over to our picks page. There's going to be hundreds a day. I mean, I'm talking about a time of year where there's college basketball from start to finish, when you wake up to when you go to sleep. So if you head over to that picks page, there's going to be something you like. Also, it is a college basketball offer mostly, but there's a lot of stuff going on. We just released our MLB guide. We have previews of every single team in the league, some picks for Cy Young, some picks for MVP. I'm doing Indian Wells tennis picks. Like, if you like to bet, there's something for you. So I think this is a great time to just head over to the website, see what you like, and then become a VSiN pro, because you don't want it to stop once you start.
I'm just curious, just because you wrote up some of the smaller leagues, and I think that's where everyone needs the most help when it comes to March Madness. So is there a team in the SoCon, in the West Coast Conference, Horizon League, Patriot League, that not necessarily bet a future on, but you think they get to the dance, you'd like to bet on them in an upset spot?
Man, I mean, if Chattanooga were to get in, that's a team that is really dangerous. Like, they could really score the basketball. They're top 50 in the country in offensive efficiency. Not a great defensive team, but those are the types of teams that tend to make runs. The ones, that can shoot the three ball, that can play at a fast pace. So I think that they're looking somewhat dangerous. But just in terms of these tournaments, there is a lot of value to be had in backing these ones, the smaller tournaments themselves.
Zach Cohen, let's get to an NBA play for tonight. Yet to tip off. The Suns it's been a disastrous year, your state there in Arizona. The Suns, we've got them catching 7.5 at the Nuggets, and you're on the Suns tonight.
Yeah, I just thought this was a lot of points. I know that things seem really bad in Phoenix, but it is a team that is playing hard. It's almost worse because they're playing hard and not performing. I think the general perception is that they have given up, but this is a lot of points. They're coming off of 2 full days of rest. They actually just came back from 23 points down to beat the Clippers in a win that kind of gave the team a little bit of momentum. And now you're going to see a little bit of Colin Gillespie tonight in the rotation, a player that picks up full court, plays some really solid defense, makes good reads on the offensive end. I just think this is going to be a really close game against a Nuggets team that's pretty beaten up right now. Joker's dealing with the sprained ankle. Aaron Gordon's dealing with the same. Both players listed as questionable. I think it sounds like they're both going to go, but I just wonder how they're going to look in a game that I think is going to be close. And yeah, I just think that this Phoenix team is going to be a little better than people think down the stretch.
All right, you got an official play in Knicks Clippers. We can discuss that in a second. Just curious, a thought. You're a big NBA guy. You, Kelly Bidlin, JVT, do pretty much all of our coverage at VSiN.com. Spurs on the road in Sacramento. De'Aaron Fox, first game back in Sacktown. Kings are laying 6.5. Totals 234.5. Just any lean, anything you would look at in that game?
I'll be honest, these spreads have ballooned up so much since when I first looked at them that I think that the best way to play these 2 night games would be to parlay the Kings money line with the Clippers money line. I think Sacramento has a great shot at winning this game. I think San Antonio has been somewhat feisty without Victor Wembanyama, but they are missing, a center right now, a starting caliber center, and that's going to be, pretty crucial against a Sacramento team that's without Sabonis. I think if you wanted to beat up on this Kings team anywhere right now, it'd be inside, but since they're not going to be able to do it, they're going to be relying on their perimeter firepower, and I don't think that they have as much as the Kings. And then with the Clippers-Knicks game, I just think that New York team is going to be really beaten up and tired after an overtime game against the Lakers last night. Having no Jalen Brunson is going to kill them offensively. They rely so much on him. Last night, towards the end of that Laker game, they were not able to get Karl-Anthony Towns the ball, a scenario where they absolutely needed to. So it's hard to imagine them now, producing good shots against the Clippers team that's top 5 in the league in defensive ratings. So I'd feel really good about those 2 California teams winning at home.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that game last night. For a sport that's had terrible PR, I hope people on the East Coast stayed up and watched Knicks Lakers because Zach, it was me. Dustin and I went out for dinner and the place was going nuts. Everybody stuck around through overtime. And even just watching on television, that had a playoff vibe to it with both teams at full health. Brunson had yet to be injured and going all in. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was an awesome game. Both teams were really locked in defensively. I've been really impressed with what the Lakers have been doing defensively. I mean, to get Luka and to look like a team that's going to be terrible defensively on paper, and then you're now second in the league in defensive rating since that trade, it's somewhat shocking, especially because the offense has lagged behind a little. I think eventually we're going to see that kind of change, and they're going to be better offensively, worse defensively, which I think will make them a little worse in the playoffs. But yeah, in terms of a standalone NBA game in the regular season, it does not get much better than that. And Spike Lee was courtside, kind of egging on Jalen Brunson. Like, there was a lot of drama too.
All right, Zach, but all you NBA nerds, all you guys keep shoving Oklahoma City down my throat and just keep saying it's inevitable. They're the best team in basketball. They're going to the finals. They're going to find a way to win this thing. I'm looking at the odds. Lakers' second shot now on the board. They're 5-1. You mean to tell me that team with two go-to scorers plus Austin Reeves who can do it on any given night, that team isn't going to beat the Thunder in a playoff series? Why does everyone think OKC is inevitable, Zach?
I'm one of the few at the network that has not been backing OKC all year. I think the Thunder are incredible, and I think it's most likely that they'll end up in the finals, but I do not think it's a sure thing. I think with these young teams, you need to see it to believe it, and I do think Oklahoma City, for as good as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, I don't really trust their secondary creation. I think Jalen Williams is an unbelievable regular season player. I think he's going to get there eventually, but I do think this is a team that can use somebody besides Gilgeous-Alexander that can really score easily. And I also don't think that they shoot the three as well as you really need to for a playoff series when the defenses kind of crank up a little bit. I just think that this is going to be a much closer call than people really think. I don't think it's Oklahoma City cruising to the finals.
All right. And then finally, how about in the East? I think most likely, obviously, we're going to get Cavs Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. Obviously, the Celtics are going to be favored in that series, but this Cavs team is legit, right, Zach?
Yes, 100%. I actually think if you look at the futures board right now, the best value bet you could make is the Cavaliers to win the NBA title. I just don't think we've seen anything all season that says that there should be a gap between the Thunder and the Celtics and then the Cavaliers, especially when Cleveland is going to be playing at home throughout the Eastern Conference playoffs. I think we've seen a Cleveland team, now beat Boston the other night. I just don't really see what's separating them. I think the Cavaliers made a really good move at the trade deadline and bringing in DeAndre Hunter, a big 6'8" wing that could kind of body up guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and could also knock down open threes. I thought that was a perfect move for a team that was a little bit weak at the small forward position. So at plus 600 or north of that, I would love the Cavaliers as an NBA title play.
And my Knicks will not be in the mix. That is the vibe all around. I mean, they were winning for 3/4 of that game yesterday. Actually, more than that. They were winning most of the fourth quarter. I don't know what happened, Zach. What are you seeing with the Knicks, and do you think it's fixable at all in the postseason?
Well, I think it's strange that the defense never really got better. I think that we all saw, a team with Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby on the wing, and we thought they'd be elite defensively. It never really ended up playing out that way. I think they've been hot and cold on that end of the floor. And then I think offensively, you have to be brilliant if you're not, great defensively. And just outside of Brunson, I don't think that there's really a reliable scoring option. I think Towns is great, but we saw the other night they had trouble getting him the ball. So I think that they could really use a secondary shot creator after Brunson. I don't know if that's Bridges at this point. I feel like we've been expecting him to kind of grow into that role forever now, and maybe he showed some flashes of that as the number one guy with the Nets, but I definitely think they need to improve their number two, and I do think you're going to see the Knicks big game hunting this summer, and I also think they're going to be in the mix for Dan Hurley.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Zach Cohen, VSiN senior editor. Betting on X is his X handle, and you can go read of course, Zach's conference previews. You get all the tennis picks from Indian Wells and more. Zachary Cohen, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Okay, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. That's Zach Cohen. Does a great job. Don't forget to do it, big guy. Don't forget to. I was just peeking around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
What are you already complaining about? I didn't even finish my sentence.
I have to change my underwear tomorrow. I know you're going to tell me.
Anywho, you got to spring forward, people. But this is good. This is the good. I think it's a good spring because by the time, what is it, March? By the time April rolls around, we are going to have sunlight when this dumb show ends.
Yes. It's the one that you give up a little at the beginning, an hour of sleep, for some positivity on the back end with more sunlight. It's worth what you have to give up. It's worth the 1 hour of sleep on one night. My brain is done. I had something, and
did you give up? Did you give it up sooner? Based on?
Well, I was trying because I saw Twizzy's on the line. I went into the Discord and I realized I wanted to put a bet in there. I'll just say it on the air. Josh Hart to get a triple double tonight, 7-1 without Brunson in the lineup. I think he's going to facilitate more. I think they trust him more than McBride. He's going to get double-digit rebounds. He's likely going to get double-digit points against the Clippers. Let's hope he gets double-digit assists. The one game that Brunson missed, he had a triple-double. So 7-1's a big, juicy number.
Like it. Nice playing. The Family Bets is the Discord, which Dustin references. Just a great community of people talking sports betting. Just go to Discord and type in the Family Bets, and you can join. It's all free. Look forward to it. And Dustin mentioned our buddy Twizzy. Let's talk to him. I know he was into that Lakers game last night. Twiz, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, fellas, man? First and foremost, man, shouts out to your boy Dustin Swedelson for getting me in that family Discord when your boy was a donk with the social media, couldn't figure it out, but he helped me out, and we're there.
Nice. Well, welcome to the family, Twiz. Great to have you.
And the first play that I had put out there was I like Purdue on the road plus 4.5 against Illinois right there. It was looking pretty good the last time I checked.
They're up 7, so you're winning outright.
You're winning outright, Twizzy. That's a nice little start in the Discord. How about you?
Okay. And look, I want to talk about my Lakers, but first I need some understanding here because if like being in the middle of everything in sports is like purgatory, right? Why are they fighting so hard for guys like Geno Smith and Sam Darnold? And I get you have to have a quarterback, but if I was the Raiders, I thought they would, get rid of Crosby, try to get some picks up, suck bad all next year, and then with those picks, try to build it up. Because I keep looking at going back to like the Seattle and the San Francisco, where San Francisco even made a bad pick, but the roster was so strong. They made a bad pick at quarterback, with Lance, but the roster was so strong that they were able to overcome that. And I just don't get why, because I heard Dustin say, hey, a guy like Geno, he doesn't have the skill set to uplift the other parts of the team when they're lacking. So why do teams go so hard to be in the middle and purgatory only to try to trade up the next year in the draft?
Yeah, it's just such a premium position with not enough guys that people start – you're right. I mean, they start reaching and getting thirsty for lesser than players so they have somebody competent. I mean, that's really what it boils down to.
I mean, if the goal is to be 7-10 or between 7 and 9 wins, then man, congratulations, Raiders, you did that.
Hey, listen. Before Dustin went out to eat in Culver City last night, and we went to a place that had the game on. And Twizzy, when I tell you Los Angeles was electric yesterday, everybody stayed through overtime into every single play. Knicks, Lakers, it was awesome.
Oh, because L.A. fans are good fans. The Lakers and Dodgers fans are great fans. But you know what? It's because it's Luka, And you said it the other day, like I said, I'm always listening. And you're right about this. Luka is more of a Laker right now in these few games and been accepted by the fans than LeBron ever was. And it's definitely because LeBron is claimed in other parts. LeBron is claimed in Cleveland. He's got 2 in Miami. I mean, come on. We don't want that here. You know what I mean? Well, but Luka, even though he went to the finals last year, he hadn't won anything. He hadn't one of the Dallas Suns. He's still 25. We're going to get the prime of his career right here, just like we did with all the other stars that we trade for. LeBron is one of the few stars that we traded for that we didn't get the prime of his career. So that's he's more the Karl Malone, Gary Payton type deal, but he had a lot more left in the tank. But I want to talk about this Stephen A. Smith and LeBron confrontation, and I know this is not a conversation that you would like to have.
No, it's cool. Let's hear it.
I mean, let's hear it. I get it. You like what's on the court, but I heard it all day long, so I was just thinking on it. And at first, I was kind of with LeBron. Yeah, you want to protect your kids, but then I really start thinking from a dad standpoint, and LeBron is dead wrong. And this is why he's dead wrong. One, his son is an adult, and as a dad, the first thing that I'm trying to do when I'm raising my kids is I'm trying to get them to be able to take care of their own business as adults. So if he's such a great dad, I think that he missed here, because why isn't Bronny saying anything? I blame him more than I blame Stephen A. Smith, more than I blame LeBron, because it's him being talked about, and he's a grown man. He should be able to stand up, talk for himself, and say something. And if there's one person in the world that I want to hear from this situation, it's him, because he's the only person that we haven't heard anything from. Man, I love you guys. I'm gonna keep listening, and give me some picks for the weekend.
Hey, welcome to it's my guy Twizzy, and he's in the Discord, and he took a Purdue team that was catching 4 tonight, and last time I looked, they were up 7. If you're catching 4 and you're an outright winner, it's a nice little start for Twiz. Could have went money line.
I was gonna say, now you guys start thinking about going money line on some of these calls like that. That is a beautiful thing. Number 8, by the way, Illinois is falling apart. Illinois looked like a dangerous team. They have like 2 NBA players on their roster. This kid from Lithuania might be a lottery pick, and they have been awful for the last month.
We still, even if we don't lead with it, we are going to get to our media roundup, and I think there's going to be more on that LeBron Stephen A. Smith confrontation and Dustin's media roundup coming up. I'll say this. LeBron did his son so freaking dirty by doing it. Like, it's pretty common sense. Like, he botched it. Yeah. Everybody already has questions about the nepotism, and then you go and yell at the guy on TV for being critical of the nepotistic situation and the son. Now, LeBron, you could speak, and I'm sure people have done it, but you can speak out of both sides of your mouth, big guy, because LeBron was being a father. But when you create the circumstance as LeBron did, you then have to have some sort of common sense in approaching this type of controversy.
Yeah, like, I don't question LeBron's intentions with everything all along. It's just probably not the right route. I think he meant well every step along the way, going back to saying Bronny's better than guys in the league about a year ago at this time, to everything leading up, him getting drafted, him in the G League. Like, I think he's always tried to do right by his son and be a good father. He just put his son in a difficult situation, and it's very public, and Stephen A. Smith's job is to have opinions, and he's not going to back down from having an opinion if he thinks you're wrong about something. So if LeBron thinks it's a vendetta against LeBron and he's taking it out on Bronny, I don't think that's what it is. I think it's a weird, stupid situation, and Stephen A. Smith had to give his thoughts.
Well, hey, if anybody likes the tea, it's our next caller. He's hanging out in Baltimore. Young, strapping man named Jai. Jai, what's cracking?
What's cracking, fellas? How y'all doing on this Friday night?
What's happening? Hey, what'd you think about that drums between Stephen A. Smith and your boy LeBron?
I'm going to tread lightly because Stephen A. is very close to our hero, Christopher Mad Dog Russo. And, you don't want to burn any bridges, but I'm going
to push back on that, John. I think Stephen A. is the one guy in the world that would like for you to push back on him.
That's a good point. I called into his show once upon a time when he was on ESPN radio back in the day. Dustin, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think that his heart was in the right place, but to do it publicly as almost as if to like talk down to Stephen A. to kind of put him in his place, that would be cool if this was like 5, 6, 7 years ago and Bronny was still by definition a teenager in high school. But he's a grown ass man who's getting an NBA check just like LeBron James is getting an NBA check. Bronny, if he's bothered by it, I want to hear him say something. You know, I understand, again, LeBron, because, you know, I got a father that would stick his neck out and would take a bullet for me like LeBron, I'm sure, would do for Bronny. But it's just one of those situations where a parent's heart's in the right place, but their idea sounded better in their head than it actually played out in real life.
Totally. Nailed it. He did his son dirty. If his son wants to confront Stephen A. Smith, have at it. He's a grown-ass man. You can't be having your dad do it. Oh, that's a bad look.
Especially in the middle of the game. Especially in the middle of the game before the fourth quarter. That's just
Well, how about Larry David just sitting there like, what's going on?
Yeah, it was straight out of an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. By the way, I'm watching the YouTube feed as I'm on the phone with you guys. First of all, happy belated birthday, Patrick.
Thank you, Jai.
Number 2, the mustache. It's 20 out of 10. It's an A+ stash from you. I see Dustin got the nice beard coming in. You fellas are looking mighty dapper in LA. Just so the ladies out there are aware. So
you know what? You know what we're gonna do for the ladies? One of these days this summer, we're gonna have you call in on the YouTube stream and hang out for a segment.
You know what? I'm down for that. Let's get that. Let's get that.
We'll make sure Liv Cowherd fires up her YouTube and gets in the algorithm. You feel me?
Is that still a thing?
Yes, absolutely. Listen. Any opportunity for Liv Cowherd to see this handsome face, it's an A+ day for yours surely. But the primary reason why I called, and you two are betting gentlemen, I would love to know what the odds are over-unders for the 2025 Bengals. Whatever the line is, I don't care if it's 2.5, I would take the under. This football team makes me sick, okay? We are blessed with the greatest quarterback we've ever had in the history of our disgusting franchise. We've been around since 1968. We have never won a Super Bowl. We've played in 4 AFC championship games. Prior to the last 2, we went damn near 35 years since we played in an AFC championship game, okay? We got sensational wide receiver talent in Higgins and in Jamar Chase. Why haven't they been paid yet? Why haven't they been paid yet? Oh, I'll answer that question. Because my team is ran by morons. People talk about all the time, well, the Bengals are cheap, the Bengals are cheap. Yes, they are cheap. But you know what plays into their cheapness? Stupidity. Because any person that works in football with a functioning brain realizes this short, finite window of opportunity that my football team has. And instead of us talking about who the Bengals are going to select in the draft, how they're going to fix the holes on defense with young talent, what's Al Golden's defense going to look like, we're still sitting up here bullshitting because Jamar and T. Higgins are unsigned. And, oh, by the way, we'll just say, hey, who wants Trey Hendrickson? He only led the league in sacks this year and has had 35 sacks in the last combined seasons and is durable and plays every game. Let's put him out there in the trading market. I swear to the holiest of deities, this football team literally makes my skin crawl. I tell you, they waste Joe Burrow. That's it. I'm dropping them like a $2 hoe on New Year's Eve. I can't take this shit anymore, guys. I can't do it. Zach Taylor's idiocy, I can't stomach during the season and during the off season. It's March 7th, and I'm pissed off at them like Week 1 when they lost to the Patriots. It's just sell the team or get the hell out. Get serious or get the hell out. Because we got too much going for us to squander this window of opportunity inventing self-inflicted avoidable chaos. This team, get it together. Get them both signed and find a damn answer and a damn clue.
Bam! Mic drop. Even Jeezy got fired up over there. What up, Jeez? You heard that, Jai?
A $2.
Jai's a good kid, man. Jai would literally email me on my birthday. He's like the nicest kid ever. You know what we'll do now that we got the stream pumping? The diehards. When it starts to slow down, we get into April and May. The diehards jump on the stream, YouTube for a segment. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to be a diehard. Here's what I'm going to tell you right now. If you go to the YouTube, if you go to the VSiN YouTube page, our VSiN live stream, and you subscribe, you have a chance to join us live on stream. But you have to be subscribed, and you have to hit us with the thumbs up. So go do that right now. When you get home, subscribe. Tell them how to find it because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked.
VSiN on YouTube. It's called VSiN Live. You search VSIN on YouTube, you'll find it. And also, if you hang out in the Family Bets Discord, you let us know you subscribed. It helps get you towards the top of the line as well. So we have a couple different ways we can let you be a part of the show. We can see what your pretty faces look like. I just want to point out for Jai, a $2 hoe. I don't even get your hand held for $2 these days.
If you are in the Discord, the Family Bets Discord, and you like us because you're part of our family, go subscribe to the YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. We'd appreciate that. I didn't even know I had a mustache.
No, so
now that I'm looking, it appears I do have a mustache.
I was surprised when I saw you in person yesterday because I thought you were doing a mustache thing, but then I saw it's just your beard coming in, but your mustache is very prominent. It's like an old school mustache too. So it's got a cool uniqueness to it. I'm digging.
That makes me feel good because I can't really – I've always had issues growing facial hair.
No, the mustache is money. I mean, the rest of it, I mean, you and me could go to Turkey together and you can get your face done. I can get the top of my head done and we could be a good match there.
But you like to guilt people on their beards. I can't pull off a real beard because it just doesn't come in that way. So I have to do what the good Lord gave me. You can see I don't have hair. Like I have hair up here, but I just don't have, so it doesn't come in here good. Well,
yeah, but your beard looks better in person than it does on camera. It looks full in person. I don't know why on camera it does not look full. It does look like you just have a mustache.
Well, I wanted a stash. Thank you, Ryan. I got a little solo shot. Get the big guy off that screen. Let's have some fun, people.
Update your dating profile with that.
What's cracking? If our YouTube stream turns into a dating app, now we're cooking with gas.
Oh, you know what? That's interesting. Yeah. Send your info below in the comments section.
Open business, baby.
We could sort through them. We could do a bit on the air. Dating game with Patrick.
I got San Luis and Juarez in Liga MX. I need a goal. We need to go over 1.5 goals in the second.
I thought you were saying those were young ladies that were interested in the chat about pursuing
Latina baddies.
San Luis and Juarez.
Look. Cancel culture's over. And I'm just going to tell you straight up and straight down. If your boy was really serious, he would go to South America.
I was going to say, March Madness is coming up. That would be your 1 seed? For your type?
Listen. Here's what I would say.
It's tough.
It's like when we were talking about people that were into Matthew Stafford or Aaron Rodgers. What did I tell you? I said, if you're into Rodgers, you're an unserious organization. If you're into Matthew Stafford, you're a serious organization. If you think you're going to find Shorty in Michigan, you're an unserious dude. If you think you're going to find her in Brazil, you're a serious dude.
Checkers, not chess. Or chess, not checkers, I should say.
It's like the SEC. The South America's built different.
It just means more. Because there is more.
It's just built different. I don't even know what they got in the food.
Look, I don't know what the mountains are called down there. I just know there's a lot of them.
But that thing is thangin'.
That's what they do. They literally invented a surgery for the rest of the world to copy their butts.
They don't even need the surgery. That's the irony.
No,
they just got that thing on them.
It's called Brazilian butt lift because it gives you what they already have. That is their greatest natural resource.
There's not a very good chance I'll watch Hoosiers this weekend, but I will come back with South American rankings on Monday. I will do research, and I will tell you, is it Argentina? Is it Chile? Is it Brazil?
Venezuela.
And I will rank the crap out of some baddies.
Panama.
In South America.
Yeah, that canal's a big deal. I can tell you that in Panama.
Ryan says Guana. I didn't even know that was South American, but I guarantee it's thangin'.
Paraguay, Uruguay.
I think Mexico is like a bottom seed. I don't know. That answer.
You know what? It's too close to America where it's not different. You have to go further down to get the true experience.
I don't need. Listen. I don't need a hybrid. I need
No.
Boricua.
Well, that's Puerto Rico.
Whatever. But also, if you're in the chat, let me know what the number 1 seed is in South America. Your boy might be taking a trip sooner than later. 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. What up?
Clear for 4.
With Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. We're ranking in the chat, YouTube, VSiN Live. We're ranking South American countries, if you know what I'm saying. Ryan says Colombia. The big guy said Colombia is supposed to be pretty good. Here's my problem. You got a white dude with long hair. If you're watching on the stream, this is it's going to end up looking like. an interrogation.
You can see the video stream over at YouTube at VSiN Live.
It'll be an interrogation.
You'd be so unique there, they would just flock to you. Like you would stand out so much. Not that you don't normally stand out.
Yeah, but then a cartel comes.
Well, yeah, because then you're taking, who they're going after as well. So you got to be careful. But I would say Colombia would be a very good place to be. Now the problem is, pretty sure it's very shady. I believe Venezuela, not a political take, also kind of shady. Brazil seems like they're harmless. Like, do they even have a military? I got in trouble last time I said this about Canada.
What about Argentina?
Isn't Argentina just Spanish-speaking Brazil?
You know what? You're right. If I'm going to do it, I might as well go to the authentic, go get the real food in Brazil.
Yeah. I'm not trying to go to this outsourced stuff. I want the original. I want the OG, the originator that everyone's trying to duplicate.
Venezuela has some good-looking girls coming in the chat. Okay. Listen, like I said, R.I.P. to Gene Hackman, and to be fair, R.I.P. to his wife the week before. But no Hoosiers. Baricua. I'm gonna come back talking like Pitbull.
Fluent.
Culo.
Fluent Spanish. Dale. That's what he yells all the time. Like, Dale. I don't even know what it means.
Time for a media roundup. This is once a day. We like to take a look at what the donks are talking about across Mad Dog Sports Radio, across the media landscape. Just to give you an idea, a little inside industry talk here for the big guy. What do you got?
Look, we'll begin with our guy Adam Shine on Sports, who did talk about the Lakers' comeback win over the Knicks letting it slip away. Luka's big-time threes late in that one. He loved how the role players looked for the Lakers. We will move on. There is nothing else to see there.
Before you move on, can I give a shout to my guy Tommy? Because the last time I checked, Portland was up 10 on Pepperdine. And it closed to pick 'em. Tommy, it's not exactly a system, but you sounded confident as hell, so I fired. Let's freaking go.
Tommy, you save that number in your phone, 888-MAD-DOG-60. You call it every time you got a winner, okay?
I'm going to continue. If Tommy in San Diego calls with fatties, I'm going to continue to bet him until he loses, a la Mike Randall.
Okay. Next show up, Beetle and Decker. Now, look, I'm going to move on from today's Open. I want to bring up the last couple days Opens. Just want to discuss with you because they did Knicks-Lakers. Everyone was doing Knicks-Lakers. I just want to point out the recent Opens included Cody didn't wear a jacket today. It's going to rain. The next one was Cody didn't wear a jacket again. Weather's still not good. Cody lives in the same area a TV show that he watches is based in, a White Lotus review. If we just add gas prices, this is Bill Swedelson's favorite conversation of all time. That's my father. Gas prices, weather, did you wear a jacket, TV shows, all day long. He would love this conversation.
Beetle and Decker open with jacket talk?
Yes. 2 in a row, 2 days in a row.
Interesting strategy.
Danny Parkins filled in for
By the way,
Dog
the big guy's struggling. He's been doing his dude. He's been a good man, and he's tired. So it's a good thing that there's only 15 minutes left in the program. The synapse is not. I mean, during the break, I could tell the synapses just weren't clicking.
No. Normally, it's you struggling at this point in the show mentally, but you seem to be good despite me keeping you out late last night.
It's all about Zins.
How bitter, we got to clip that and send it to Zin, but how bitter was Jeezy, your dog, when you got home late?
Shorty, she got up. Hey, Jeezy, come here. Shorty, when I walked in the door, she looked like it was, I've had her for 7 years. And when I walked in, Shorty was just like, who's the stranger? Why are you coming home at this time?
Why are you here? What were you up to? Was it worth it?
What did Donkey Parkins say?
6 teams can win the NBA title. Thunder, Warriors, Nuggets, Lakers, Celtics, Cavs. Did not include the New York Knicks.
That got you bitter?
No, yeah, because I actually think last night the Knicks showed enough fight where I might be able to come back around to them because the playoffs are different than the regular season.
You just better hope that ankle for Brunson, who's out for a couple of weeks, doesn't linger.
That's true. That's true, and that Tibbs doesn't run him too early. And then Mad Dog Daily, Steve Torrey. He discussed the feud between Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James. It had me thinking, stories I've covered that I hated. that I'd rather cover than Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James talking about Bronny James. I was once the beat writer for Emory Division III basketball, where the entire starting lineup was pre-med and under 6'4". I'd rather cover them again than talk about Stephen A. Smith versus LeBron James. I once covered the Adel Cook County High School baseball team. There's like 70 kids in the graduating class. I covered them. I'd rather discuss that than Stephen A. Smith versus LeBron James. Also included, Colin Kaepernick kneeling, an entire NASCAR season, which was the most miserable 3 years of my life. And then finally, I once covered the Caterpillar games. And it's not Caterpillars racing like you think. It's Caterpillar the forklift, where contestants competed with how good their forklifting skills were. I had to cover that for an entire week. I would rather do that again than discuss Stephen A. Smith and LeBron yelling at each other.
Why does the sassy LeBron matchup, why does it get you so bitter?
Because it's not why any of us got into this. It's not why we chose to be in sports, to talk about two people complaining about each other. It's not sports. It's not sports. We're discussing their personal feud. So that's why.
Damn. I hope Steve Torrey's not listening right now, because you just eviscerated him.
No, he's allowed to like whatever he likes, but to me, it's not sports. It's definitely in the sports world, and I totally understand it, and I would cover it if I was forced to, but given the choice, I'd rather cover the Caterpillar games again.
Caterpillar games. 888 Mad Dog 6. Hold on. Let me just check in on my guy, Tom. Tommy might be my new guy. Like, straight up and down.
I feel like Tommy might be shady, and I kind of like it.
Hey, Tommy, Portland's up 9, 13 seconds to go in the first. LFG.
It's 38-29. By the way, how could Pepperdine ever be good at sports? They're in Malibu. They see the Pacific Ocean from their campus. How could you possibly be motivated to play sports?
When we return, the Jets. We are getting a report from Jordan Schultz that the Jets are interested. If you're a Jets fan, you may want to turn us off. The Jets are interested in a particular quarterback. We'll tell you who coming back. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Clear for 4.
Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, my
covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. You're streaming live on YouTube. Shorty's in the mix. Old G-ster. Dustin's going to be 40 coming up on what, the 11th?
Yes.
So Dustin's got his birthday coming up on the 11th. I'm holding on to my dog, and she's going to be 7 in March. But here's how I try to be such a different person. I have her records in my Hotmail and my email, but I literally refuse to look up my dog's birthday because I don't want to be that guy. So when people say, when's she born? I just say March.
That's it? You don't need to celebrate the day you got her?
No.
That's
she
a
ain't
normal
like that.
thing. You dismissed it like it's not a normal thing people do.
See you later, donk. Shorty's going to be 7. You're going to be 40. She's going to be 7. That's the bottom line.
She's going to be 7.
Hey, but Dustin just told me great news. We were closing in on 100 peeps in the Family Bets Discord, so we encourage you to go check that out. And if you're in the Discord, come over and give us a subscribe on our YouTube channel.
I should probably explain this because we haven't in a while, because Twizzy, who I helped get into the Discord, he was like, what is it? And I was like, it's like a live chat meets a message board community. It's kind of a little bit of everything. I got to tell you, we've only been doing it a few weeks now. I really enjoy it. We're getting to know the other listeners of the show, and honestly, everyone's just handing out winners.
It's like a friendly – it's different than other social media because it's actually the people are cool.
Yeah, no, it's normal people who choose to be there, not psychopaths and bots interacting on X.
Yeah, exactly. Not a bunch of dongs. All right, let's close some tabs on the way out. Jacob, hit me.
It's time to wrap up today's show. You see what I did there? Yeah. By finishing all of the conversations we touched on today. This is Closing Tabs.
Yes, sir. Big guy, what do you got?
All right, a couple things real quick, then we have to talk James Bond. Discussed earlier after our dinner last night, my girlfriend said that I eat too fast and that when there's people in the room and we're having a conversation, I need to slow down and be a part of the conversation, not just slam my food. I forgot to add the one element that she said on the way home that was funny, which is we need a safe word for when you're doing that so you know to stop doing that. So now we have to come up with a safe word at dinner to stop me from just smashing food into my face.
Suggestion?
Pineapple is usually the word people go with. What do you got?
Donkey.
Donkey? All right, we'll go donkey. Our guy Josh called in, talked about shooting his shot in Liv Cowherd's DMs. Reminds me of John Starks in the 94 NBA Finals, 11% from the field for our guy Jai. And then finally, I do want to ask you about this. I think you're probably going to have a lot on this. Amazon has gained creative control over the James Bond franchise. So they're going to be able to make a film, make TV shows, whatever it is that they want to do. I believe Daniel Craig was our last James Bond. How do you feel about maybe an oversaturation of Bond stuff coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, so I had never watched a Bond movie. Maybe in passing had seen a couple of clips until the pandemic, the Pando, and I was just chilling by myself drinking. So I decided I need a project. So I just started from Dr. No and went all the way through the Daniel Craigs. And there's so many, like 27 of them. And when you do something like that, you take on a project like that. I got really into it. What do I think about them? It's been a couple of years now. They've got to get one in there. They've got to get a Bond.
They want to make a movie. They want to do spin-offs. They want to do TV series. They want to create like a Bond universe, similar like Marvel and some of these other things.
The dude that I think should be either Ed Hardy. Is that his name? The Hardy
no, that's
guy,
the T-shirt company. Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy, but he might be too old. And then the guy that was on Bullet Train with Brad Pitt. I can't think of his name.
Bullet Train, Brad Pitt. It was
Jonathan Taylor or something. Taylor?
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah, that guy is funny. He's good looking. He's got a vibe to him. That would be my next Bond. There you go.
Good casting. I dig that.
Thank you.
You
Thank
really
you.
thought about that. That's
I
a
have.
good one.
I got a lot of time to think.
I want to bring this story to your attention. Everyone should really know about it going into the weekend. An NYPD detective is currently under fire after showing up in a rap video with a G-string on. I know what you're thinking. No. This chick is a smoke show. NYPD veteran Melissa Mercado under fire for partaking in a rapper music video. If you just look for it, the New York Post wrote about it. Just do a quick Google search. NYPD detective G-string. It's worth a Google image search. Speaking of really thoughtful things, today in the year 161, one of our favorite people, Marcus Aurelius, became emperor of Rome.
Yeah, he was a great emperor. If you watch, Meditations is the journal that he wrote, but if you watch, obviously, Gladiator, the first one, Joaquin Phoenix kills him.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yep. That's Marcus Aurelius that got waxed by Joaquin Phoenix character. You feel me?
I feel you.
Anything else, big guy, on the way out?
Yeah, King Tut, overrated when it comes to being a ruler in Egypt.
Okay. Get some sleep, man. I feel for you. Dustin Swedelson, Ryan, thank you. Jacob, thank you. We'll see you on Monday. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio.
And